I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys would come in and say,
oh, God.
So me and Joe on the ground. I got Joe in the headlock. And he's sitting there, he's punching me in the stomach, like, punching me.
Here, is everyone sitting around? Who here thinks Chico can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad's doing the 6 minutes. For 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think I'm going to practice today. And I was like, I look back and I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. I saw you there. You're more fucked up than me.
On the Spirit plane had some issues, I think. She was sleep farting.
you heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her. I smelled it.
Whoa. What was that?
Time to go to the show.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you gonna bring your chinchilla and your turtle?
My dad told you about it.
The SEC is, God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they should
Players, look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
You're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. Today is Wednesday, July 17th. Big show for you today. LSU baseball kind of, I got to hold this thing.
Dad, you're alive?
This stinks, dude. This thing stinks. It's like goes in and out. I don't even know. It's brutal. I'm trying. There we go.
You got a huge show for you
Just go mid-air like you couldn't say that before this thing?
I just started. I could hear myself. Now I can't. I got a big show
that's
for you
what
today.
happened at the national anthem.
That was bad.
Yeah, cool.
That was total. That was terrible.
That was total.
But this thing is fucking with me. But
I can tell.
got a big show for you today.
Fight through
Obviously,
it, fight through it,
LSU
fight through it.
baseball
Fight.
Has been the talk of the town of Baton Rouge. Has been the talk of the draft. Has been the talk of the last couple of months. What's going to happen? Who's going to stay? Who's going to go? What recruits are going to stay? It feels like LSU made out like bandits in the draft. They had a lot of high school recruits that were supposed to go that decided to come to school, which I think is a great surprise. And then the biggest one I think of any of them is Bear Jones decides to come back to LSU. Doesn't get drafted, not because he was not drafted.
I think it's because of how it happened, too.
Yeah.
Not even like, hey, it's here, now it's decision time.
Yeah.
We never got to decision time.
So, I'd imagine he had a number in his head or a certain value that he had attached to himself that he was going to sign for. Now, you have to remember, he's a draft-eligible sophomore, so he had 2 years of eligibility for him to have to buy out. Had a lot of leverage, 2 good years in a row. And so he has this number that he values himself, which is how you're supposed to do it when you go into the baseball draft. And it doesn't seem like they got to that number. And so instead of drafting him and taking a chance and seeing if they could get to that number, it felt like they didn't believe that, so they just didn't draft him. And I think deep down, Bears want to come back to LSU. I think that he, we could talk to Jay, who's going to be live on the show. Did he just commit?
Let's go, DJ Pickett. Come on home.
That was the other thing. DJ Pickett, number
Just
one quarterback
now.
in the country,
Well, they put a lot of time into that one.
announced his commitment to LSU. And
Spiegelman.
everybody was saying, "Oh, does Corey Raymond still have it? Why are we bringing this guy? He got fired from Florida. It seems like he still got it. He still got the fastball. It looks like 102.
That's not the fastball, Coach. I'm gonna keep saying this. I've been saying it forever. That's his curveball. The fastball is actually on the gridiron, coaching
go.
these boys up. And you get guys
No
like
doubt.
this in, he will elevate and go to something new. But the curveball's good too. It's a 70
No
grade
doubt.
breaking ball.
Barry Zito.
Yeah,
It's a plus
up there.
pitch.
Yeah,
It's a
up
plus
there.
pitch.
It's
It's a plus pitch. And so it's a big pickup for LSU football. Football right around the corner, 6 weeks away from the first game of the season in Vegas.
Watch
Obviously,
this narrative shift on Corey Raymond real quick.
I mean, that's
We've
it.
been saying it for years, decades.
Whoa. Decades.
Decades.
We haven't had this show that long. But big news. That was actually the next on my list. He was 7 minutes late of the on his commitment. He was supposed to be at 6:07. Had to have some drama in there. But he is an LSU Tiger for now. We got to make sure that we say that
It's a thing these
for
days.
now.
Yeah.
Because the two schools that LSU is fighting with is Oregon and Miami. And Oregon seems like they have a blank check from a really rich person over there.
Well,
so
Miami's been known to drop the blank
and
checks.
Miami's known to
And
drop.
Oregon seems to be new on the trail.
Yeah.
No pun
So
intended.
still a battle, but that's a big pickup. But back to the baseball conversation. Now, I'm gonna get to the DJ Pickett thing. We've got him. That's a huge move. Let's talk about what's gonna be for us in the future later on in the show. Coach Jay Johnson's live in studio via video call, not in studio, at 6:10 to talk about the recruiting class and talk about what he feels like, how happy he is, and what he feels like the future of LSU baseball is. And what I was saying was, it feels like the high school recruiting class of these kids. I think there's 7 of the top 100 high school prospects ended up coming to LSU, right? And 2 or 3 of those top 100 were in the top 15. And so it's a really deep class, a really talented class, and Jay did a really good job of filling in a lot of transfer guys. Obviously, he filled in a lot of guys out the bullpen on the mound, but he brings in some infielders. He brings in a veteran outfielder who kind of brings a different dynamic from Auburn. And so the next piece of that puzzle was the draft. I think the one guy that maybe we all think of, it would make it perfect if he had come back, and that would have been Griffin Herring. Griffin Herring decides to sign with the Yankees. He's fulfilling a dream. Congratulations to him. He had a great year. Next year he would have come back as a starter. He decided to say, okay, I started in the Cape. Let me just go get my pro career started. And happy for him and looking forward to watching him play professional baseball. But if he had opted to come back, I think that just kind of would have been the cherry on top. I said, damn, everybody that we hoped we could get back, we got back, and we got guys that we didn't even anticipate stepping foot on campus come back to school. So I think it's a win for LSU baseball. I think it's a win for the future of the program because you have young guys that you can build on. You saw 3 position players start, plus Kate Anderson get significant innings this year. I'd imagine you should see a few guys from this freshman class get some opportunity to play on the field as well. So question mark was who's going to play the infield. I think you got that. Question mark was who's going to play first base. I think you got that now. Jared Jones comes back. Now the question mark goes to, okay, you got a few catchers on the roster. Who's going to be the guy? Who's going to be the front runner? And then how are you going to navigate all the talent and all the guys you have in the outfield now? Because you have a few guys out there that you feel like you want to play, but you have 3 of them that have proven themselves already at LSU. So we're going to get into all of that. It's also Wednesday, so it's Ask Mikey and Mitch Wednesday. If you have questions, you've already had some of them put in on Twitter and on Instagram and social media. I don't want to say all, because usually just on Twitter.
Zanga.
And
Telegram.
if you have any other questions, please put it in the
AIM.
No, Telegram's an app. AIM's not an app anymore.
Well, I know, but I'm just going down the registrar.
If you have questions, put them in the chat. We'll get to as many as we can get to throughout the course of the day. But obviously, the main attraction is Coach Jay Johnson. Is he in or no?
waiting patiently. Probably trying to one up the football team at this point. He's been
fine. I don't think
dominating the
he doesn't need to
social
one-up
media
anybody.
sphere. What are you doing?
Well, I got to put this down. But you tightened this thing up so fucking tight that I couldn't, you know?
Pew, 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 pew. He is on your ass today.
Miss me? My ear.
There we go. What were you saying? No, I said that Jay doesn't have to compete with football because he's already done all the dirty work. He's already done everything he needs to do, and now it's, you know, you can turn to. Now I'm sure doesn't take vacations, obviously, but I'm sure he can kind of exhale for the first time in a little bit, going into the fall.
He's here.
All right. Well, we can ask him.
We can.
I don't think there's ever any exhaling, but
Only competing.
let's just get to it, Coach. Welcome back to the show. We appreciate you always making time for us. Lloyd informed me, and I don't know if this is I think it's a bad thing. I don't know why you opened this door, but Lloyd informed me that I can't believe you even allowed him to send you text messages.
Yeah, we might have to get that under control.
Coach, I've been really good. I've been so repressed. I'm doing my best, dude. I feel like I'm trying to court you. It's like the best I can do of it. I'm not bothering you. I could.
Yeah. Lloyd, we might have to get a middleman involved in this.
Yeah,
thing.
we'll go through a broker. I
I'm
can
screening these things real quick.
That'd be Maureen.
We'll talk. Well, yeah, we'll talk about this at a different time. Coach, it looks like you're in a hotel room. Obviously, the draft happened a few days ago. In the last few days, you've had to figure out, who we think's going to sign, who's not going to sign. It feels like on our side, from the outside looking in, that you had a really good draft. Obviously, a bunch of LSU guys. I think we had 9 guys drafted this year in the draft after 13 last year. So great, successful draft for the players that come to LSU, develop, and leave. Also a great draft for you and the team for next year and the coming years of guys, not going and coming to school or thought of to leave school and ended up coming back. How would you assess the way that the draft turned out? And I thought you'd be kind of relaxing, but it seems like you're still on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, so I thought it was a great draft. I think, obviously the winning tradition here is super important. How we win is really important to me, and how we win is by developing and getting guys ready for Major League Baseball. So see 9 players, achieve their dream of taking the next step in their professional baseball career is awesome. 22 in the last 2 years is remarkable, and I think by a large margin, the most in the country, and something that we're super proud of. And a lot of those guys have really good stories of how they got to that point. So that's really the first thing, and want to make sure we celebrate those guys. It's an interesting time because you're trying to celebrate that, and it has such a bearing on your next team just in terms of, what you have to start with, so to speak. And I thought it was a really successful deal. We had a great high school recruiting class. We knew we were going to lose some of those guys. Really good additions through the portal. We only lost one of those guys, which, we kind of knew that was probably going to happen even when we got him. So, I don't know if you grade it. You certainly can't right now. All that matters is what happens on the field in the spring. But I'm really excited about the roster. We had a long way to go, frankly, from, when we ended the season. And I think at one point we had 11 returning players. And obviously, getting a couple of these guys back that maybe we didn't expect helped. And, we obviously, needed to do good with the high school guys getting to campus. And I'm super proud of some of them for having conviction in their belief in themselves to come to LSU and, delay the gratification of a little bag of money, as I like to call it, and, dive into this thing. And then, the guys we added in the portal too. So really excited to get to fall and take this, good collection of talent and make it a team. We got a lot of work to do that.
Coach, speaking about the collection of talent and next fall and how things are going to go, if you're looking pre-draft going into the draft, how realistic was it in your mind that you would be able to add, or I would say, wouldn't say add, would be able to keep the likes of a Bear Jones and a Michael Braswell on this next year's team?
Yeah, I think probably a better question for them. I will say I love both of those guys. Great player-coach relationship or coach-player relationship with both of them. They're both very important to me and to our staff and our program. But I think the separator is those two love playing at LSU. And honestly, if you're not playing for the Yankees, the Dodgers, somebody of that nature, like, this is the best place to play baseball anywhere. And I think both Michael and Jared appreciate that. And, you know, in Jared's case, you know, he has another year where he'll be a junior in the draft, and he had a great season, and he put a high value on himself, as he should. I don't know many people that hit 28 home runs against an SEC schedule this year, and Jared did that. You know, and in terms of Michael, he had a value on himself that if it was met, he was going to go. It was not, so he was elated to return. And so I'm very grateful to players that make those decisions, because those are very impactful, you know, not just on their on-the-field production, but, you know, it's really important to me that we're continuing to build a program. And, you know, having Michael and Jared back are going to help us continue to do that.
I'm glad you said build a program, because we've talked about this a lot on the show. We've talked about it a lot with you, and there's, you know, a lot of people around the country, or maybe people have different opinions on how to build a program. With the portal, a lot of people say, oh, you got to go to the portal every year and have a whole new team and all these types of things. And, you know, that's kind of what you've seen sometimes. But I think to build a successful program for year after year after year after year, you have to, go in the portal, but you also have to have recruits come to campus, develop, and be there for multiple years so that you can establish some sort of consistency and tradition and culture. And having Braswell and Bear Jones come back, Bear will be there for his third year. Braswell will be a senior in college. You have Pearson already there. And the three freshmen that played last year, it feels like you have a really good mix of veteran guys and young guys with experience, and then young talented guys that are coming that can kind of fill in. Do you feel like you are starting to build that consistency and having the culture that you want to establish here at LSU year in and year out?
Yeah, I think you're always going to look at 2023 as the standard, and that's going to be hard to do. Like,
right,
I've said many times, like that's going to go down as one of the greatest college baseball teams of all time. And it was a team on top of great talent and great play. I think what was unique about this year, 22 players drafted in the last 2 years, like, that's a lot to replace. And so we had a lot more we had to do this summer, than we've had. I think we've done an excellent job of picking the right guys in the portal each year, and it's been, 4, 5, or 6. This year we had to do more than that. It's just the way that it was when you have such a great group of players over the last 2 years moving on, and this year, we frankly had to completely rebuild the pitching staff. And so we were able to go out and get, 6 guys that have thrown good innings in college. And then, the high school grouping of pitchers is one to be really excited about that has shown up here. And, and then you add them with those guys that are returning. And, you have to do that if you want to compete to go to the College World Series right now. Because if you don't, the key players in this thing right now and top programs are going to do that. So it's much different than it's ever been. It's much more competitive than it's ever been. So I think you have to have a plan. You have to have a foundation of what you're trying to do, and you have to adapt, improvise, and overcome at times. And so we had a lot of work to do. And as we sit here today, I'm excited to get to the first day of school and get to work with this team.
Coach, I kind of want you to expand on this a little bit, because I'm not sure people listening kind of really understand like what it is. But obviously you're able to bring guys back who were in the program. That also bodes to helping for building culture. But a huge part of building culture is obviously getting these younger kids. Now, in today's environment of what today is and how these kids move in the portal and draft eligible sophomores, which I think is even more prevalent than what it used to be, can you speak to how hard it is to be able to recruit the talent the guys that y'all were able to recruit in this freshman class from where they were evaluated on a national level and actually be able to land them and get them into school, and how hard that is in today's environment?
Yeah, it's spanned the entire 3 years that I've been here. I look at a guy like Derek Curiel, who's from California, and I was talking to him when I was at Arizona, and he was in 7th grade, literally. I mean, it's crazy. And when I got this job, he committed shortly after that. Kate Arambidi was committed to another school in our league, and then, decided to come to LSU. And that was before I'd even coached a game at LSU. And then, a guy like Kason Evans, came along when it was really important to me that we recruit well in Texas. And he was one of the best pitchers in the state of Texas for 2024. He's a real winner, a guy that fans here are going to get to know very quickly. He came on board, and that's before we had won the national championship. And then, you start, continually moving forward. William Schmidt, was committed to another school, and then decided he really wanted to be at LSU. And that happened, last fall. And then up until, here recently, with whether it's the transfer portal or high school players, it's a never ending process. It's very fluid. And, I want really elite players, just like you guys were, that want to be here. You obviously have to recruit, but this is a place that you should not have to beg players to play at. They should be excited to play at LSU and honored to play at LSU. And we haven't won a game yet. We haven't had a practice yet. We have a number of these guys here for summer school. The early returns so far are the character is very strong. The maturity is really good, and they are excited to be at LSU. And thus, turn down, some money in this draft. And I'm excited about that. And, we want to give them the best we got to make that pay off, not just in wins and Omaha and championships, but want it to pay off when it's their time again in the draft. And I don't think there's a better place for them to do that.
I know you said that, obviously you haven't played a game yet. You're bringing in all these guys, and you're bringing back some guys. Before the draft started, when everybody announced who's in the portal and everybody, all these types of things, there's a bunch of question marks. Who's going to play first? Because we didn't think Jared Bear Jones was going to come back. Who's going to be behind the plate? What's going to happen if Braswell goes and your whole left side of the infield is gone? All these types of things. Well, a lot of those questions are answered with some of the guys you got in the portal, some of the guys that have come back to school. But, obviously you have to go out there and you have to earn spots and you have to put yourself in a position. You bring in Utah Valley State University, the infielder from over there who's one of the top infielders in the portal. He comes over, and he was a second baseman, but you obviously have Milam there. So are you –
Daniel Dickinson.
There you go. That's his name. Are you recruiting guys that you have comfortable playing in all three or different spots in the infield? And, with catcher kind of being open, is there a chance we see the big man back there and just taking up both boxes?
Big Bear.
And Big Bear behind the dish every couple innings?
Yeah.
Talk about it.
No, I want to speak about Jared real
Yeah.
quick. I'm super proud of him, and he had a heck of a season. And, I'm not going to pretend to be a professional baseball scout, but I think we were very fortunate to get him back. You don't see that kind of light tower power very often. I thought his swing decisions were very good this year. I thought he hit against the best pitchers, and he played a great first base. So lucky is how I look at that. So I'm super excited about that. He definitely can catch. You could roll him over to third base. I thought he was an elite first baseman, and maybe went unnoticed this year because we had a couple years of Trey Morgan before that. Was obviously a wizard, but Jared did an excellent job defensively there too. So yeah. I just say nothing's off the table right now. This team needs to compete. The players on the team need to compete. They need to develop. They need to become winning players for LSU and valuable players for professional baseball someday. And so I'm excited. I'm really going in with an open mind. You mentioned Daniel Dickinson. I mean, he's incredibly talented. Like, hit 16 homers, had 32 stolen bases, but it's not just that, where the athlete, I mean, this guy plays extremely hard. Like, he's going to push guys along and play with the attitude and the style that I want. And that's going to be required out of everybody. So, it's not you don't have to be a great evaluator to go, Jared Jones is probably going to be a big part of our lineup next year,
Right.
But I'm wide open with how we're going to do this thing at this point in time.
Bat him lead off.
Coach, are you sure he's going to be in the lineup next year? Are you
I
positive?
don't know. He's got to earn that way in there. You know what I mean? He hasn't done enough. Coach, a lot of people, we talk about the recruits, we talk about the transfers, talk about the guys you get back. I think, and we've talked about this, and I mentioned it to you, I think the biggest recruit that a lot of people are maybe forgetting to talk about is, Chase Shores gets to come back next year, and he's going to be healthy. He's got potential number 1 overall stuff. How's his recovery? How's he feeling? What's it look like? And what's his plan moving forward going into the fall?
Yeah, I'm super pleased with Chase. I think, something unknown, and it's hard to talk about right now because it brings back some of the pain of the regional. But had we beaten North Carolina and held on to that lead in the 9th inning, he would have been on the roster for the Super
Wow.
Regional. And,
Wow.
it's one of those things, like, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
You hear that all the time, like, maybe that wasn't supposed to happen or meant to be, but he has crushed it with his rehab, his throwing. He looks like a physical specimen right now. He's already 6'8" or whatever, but I mean, big arms, big body, in the weight room every single day. And, just he's on track.
Yeah.
And that was, if you ask me what was the biggest adversity we had in the national championship season, was probably the night that he went down. I mean, there's 13,000 people against Tennessee. It's a true freshman. He rips off his last pitch at 97 miles an hour for strike 3. And then he comes in and says, hey, my arm doesn't feel very good. And then you find out the next day he has Tommy John surgery. Like, that was a tough blow. And it's really hard to think about last year had he been healthy wire to wire. We obviously had, trouble with the third game of the series. Well, our other 2 starters were pretty good. They just made a lot of money. And if you threw him in there, there is no trouble with the third game. And so I'm proud of the team for overcoming not having one of the best pitchers in the country in Chase. And I'm really excited for Chase and for our team to have him back full speed, ready to go. And he's crushed the rehab thing.
That's exciting. That's very exciting to hear because we only got to see him for a smudge
Yes,
a smidge of time, and
19 and 2/3 innings.
Yeah, not enough. Not enough. It was a
he knows exactly. He probably knows how many pitches to the T.
Yeah. So we didn't get to see him for as long as we want, but we got to see one of the big guys that you had that year throw a lot, and you get to continue to watch him pitch. I bought the MLB package just to watch him every fifth day. I'm spending a lot of money just to watch him, but he's that special of a pitcher, and I think you're seeing that around Major League Baseball. He's the face of the league, it seems like right now, and he's not even trying to be. He's just being himself, and he's just so talented that it's almost mesmerizing to watch. He got to start the All-Star game as a rookie. How cool is that to watch him develop and be the guy that you saw, but not everybody else gets to see it?
This is awesome, like what Paul's doing. Like, I'm not someone that gets kind of wrapped up in all the hype of things, and like, I mean, I was literally sitting on my couch last night at home, and I literally just turned to Marine and said, like, this is sick. Like, this is so awesome right now. And nobody deserves it more than he does. I mean, it's generational talent, but, I mean, he does everything right, whether it's work ethic, preparation, just how he was talking about, the other players at the All-Star game and picking their brains and, staying there for all 9 innings, instead of bailing out of there. Like,
yeah.
And and there's only one of them. There's only one of them. And just super, honored that he chose to come here. And obviously we won a national title, and it's worked out great for everybody. But I mean, he's the best. It's been a busy summer, and he texted me a couple Sundays ago when before it became announced that he was, he made the All-Star team, and he's like, hey, before this comes out, I just want you to know. And what does Paul say? I wouldn't be here without you, or I wouldn't be here without LSU, which, maybe some of that's true, but maybe not, because the guy's exceptional. And but that's the type of person he is. And man, I've really enjoyed watching that, and super proud of him, obviously.
Coach, man, like I gotta like hearing you talk about that, you sitting on the couch and you watching that situation had to be a really cool experience for you. Because it was only months ago. It wasn't 2 years ago. It wasn't 3 years ago. It was only months ago that you were having to do whatever politicking, if you want to call it that, you would have to do to front offices to kind of give people what type of player, what type of person, what type of human he was, and to see it take shape as fast and as to the level that it has, and you sit back and watch it in a completely, I guess, removed version of it. It has to be just something that's really cool. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of cool things. You've had a lot of guys that go to the big leagues. You've had a lot of guys do some successful things, but this is different. And I think we can all kind of sit here and say, like, 100% it's different.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I remember thinking going into the draft, like, if they don't pick him, Ben Cherington should be fired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not a draft scout, though.
And he's an amazing baseball dude. Like, that dude is brilliant. But I was like, this dude doesn't ever come around. And what's crazy about it is you have Dylan right there, who you could totally pick Dylan. And it would be 1,000% the correct move also. And then like Wyatt Langford from Florida.
Right.
So I don't know that we'll ever see another draft like that again, where you have like 3 players of that caliber. And it's from that to now, you would go like, no way is he 6-0, and no way he started the All-Star game when he was just pitching in Omaha like 12 months earlier. Like, that's a very normal thought unless you know Paul. And if you know Paul and his talent and how he's built, it's not really a surprise, to be honest with you.
And I wanted to hit on another guy that I think it speaks to the culture of LSU, not only that has been established, but that you helped build, like Dylan Cruz and Dugas coming back and just popping in the facility. How much does that mean to not only you, but like what you're building here and how much that helps in recruiting, I would imagine?
Yeah, it's unreal. That was a highlight of the week, too. Those guys coming down and, coming in and, I mean, those two, like, have made this whole thing for me. Like, what we did and winning a national championship, like, we'll always have that. But how they did what they did is really set us up for a long and a great future here in terms of, you point to Dylan and you go like, that's how it should be done. And not everybody can do it like him because he's such a special person in terms of humility, character, work ethic, talent. And, and you look at Gavin that came back for a 5th year or even a 4th year and a 5th year, which helped us get off to the start that we did, and then for them to want to come back and hang out. Like, we were supposed to go to dinner and it just didn't work out because, I had all kinds of stuff going on with the draft and they had some things they wanted to get to. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to be here for you guys every day of your life. So why don't you just go and enjoy your All-Star break? But I mean, just sitting in the office with both of them for like an hour was probably the highlight of the week, to be honest with you.
No, that's awesome. I'm glad, it's kind of the aura of LSU. It's easy to come back because it's just fun. You have a family, you create a family here, but I kind of want to go back, and it has something to do. Obviously, it includes Dylan, it includes Paul, but I think part of the reason why Paul has become not just the talent, but like sort of the face of baseball, is because usually it used to be in the past.
Well, I thought you were gonna say because of Livy Dunn.
No, well, that doesn't hurt either, probably, but.
Another great recruiting shot.
Whenever in the past, whenever you would get drafted out of college or high school, like even college, people forget about you because it takes you 2, 3, 4 years to get back to get to the big leagues. It took a little bit of a longer trek. Now with more talent coming to college, teams thinking that you're a little bit more developed than you were maybe in the past, and you're kind of cruising through. Paul Skeens was on national TV doing crazy things last year in the College World Series, and he's been kind of in the public eye for the last year because of his meteoric rise, similar to Dylan Cruz, similar to Wyatt Langford. And it's like you build these fans in Omaha in college, and now they continue to remember your name because you get there. Do you see that being something that's going to continue forward with, the fast, the college guys get to the big leagues a lot faster?
Yeah, 100%. And I think thinking back to the College World Series last year, like what we did to get through that tournament and win it and win the national championship, it's like you're having to get Wyatt Langford out 15 times.
Right.
You're having to beat Rhett Lauder. You're having to beat that Wake Forest bullpen. You're trying to beat Josh Hartle. Tennessee, look at all the guys they had drafted on the first day. That's that's the 3 teams that we played, in Omaha. And there might be 30 big leaguers, which is crazy, that you had to play through to do that. And I think you have to learn how to win. You have to learn how to get through failure. You have to learn how to be a great teammate, respect the game. There's no entitlement. Every guy on our team, had to earn everything that they got. And that's what professional baseball is. The professional baseball does not care who the shortstop, second baseman, and third baseman are. They have 1 billion infielders in their organization. They throw it up against the wall, and whoever sticks, and you have to earn your way. And so I think playing in an environment like this, man, it's what a learning opportunity. If that's what you really want to do, you get that here. And so guys leaving in LSU, a Florida, Wake Forest, Tennessee, they're as prepared for that as anybody in the country.
Yeah. Now more than ever, college sports, college baseball in particular has a lot more value, and there's a lot more guys that maybe were high school draftees that are coming to college to develop because of the talent, because of now NIL, because of the fast way you can move through minor league baseball up to the big league. So it's great for us as college baseball fans. It's great for you to be able to bring in talent and play against the best, and
bring in the best.
And that's what you've been doing. Congratulations on a great offseason, obviously going into the next fall. Football is right around the corner. Obviously, I know you're definitely not a gamer, and you definitely haven't gotten the NCAA 2025 video game. Lloyd has been playing it all night. But I know you're a college football fan, and you got to be pretty pumped.
I'm the head coach of LSU football.
Jesus Christ. Made a real impression on him. I know.
Big shoes to fill. Great coach. We got a couple 5-stars in the chamber. It's only week 1.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I think Coach Kelly and the boys have that wired pretty good.
They just got one. They just got the #1 cornerback in the country. Commit to LSU just now.
Yeah, so I need another tiger emoji from you.
Yeah, so.
Nice. Yeah, I got to keep up. That's a good group to keep up with because they're on track in a great way.
No doubt. Coach, I appreciate your time as always. Enjoy hotel living or recruiting or whatever you're doing right now. Maybe you're on vacation.
No chance.
No chance.
No chance.
I've probably spent more nights in a Courtyard Marriott than any house I've ever lived in. So I guess I'm at home.
It's just your house. That's it.
Bonvoy points is just booming right now.
That's it. Booming.
Yeah.
That's it.
I can take you guys on
You're
vacation
like double platinum. You got free. You don't pay for any rooms.
Got out at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
No doubt.
You want another night?
I appreciate you. We'll have you on again soon, man. Thank you.
All right, guys. Have a great night.
Yep.
What a legend.
Tell you what.
Good mood.
Bonvoy points are a big thing,
I'm
man.
telling you right now, that's definitely an upgraded room. He's got a nice little suite going.
Oh.
He ain't checking out until whenever he wants to tomorrow.
He's got the unlimited. You got the best internet you got.
That's the best internet we've ever had.
He don't even stop at the front desk. He's literally just checking in online, walking straight through up to his room.
They got
mobile key.
You have the mobile key already in there. It's already sent to you. He gets the mobile key sent a day early. Actually,
there you go.
Yeah,
that's where he's at.
No doubt. They don't have room service, but they create it for him.
One of those.
He's got.
Good for him.
Good for him.
He
earned it. Yeah, definitely earned at least that.
I'm actually very interested, and we're not gonna harp too much on like the team next year because we don't know anything other than that Jared Jones is gonna be in the lineup, and
Chase Shores is healthy.
right? And so I'm interested to see what he does, how he navigates that. Do we see Bear? He didn't say no. He smiled. He said you could. He said, I think that he's going to be obviously at first, but if there's nobody, what?
Third base?
He mentioned third, that he could play third. And I like that Jay did that because I think that's more of, hey, the scouts don't think he was athletic enough to be as versatile as I think Jay knows he can be. And so he's just throwing that out there. But you may see him behind the plate. Maybe the guys that they have aren't, don't really take to that position here as quickly as he thought they may.
I didn't really think about it, but I'll be honest with you, man. Like, when you think about either third base or you think about catcher, now to Jared Jones, if he goes out next year and catches and catches I say a good amount. I don't know how much he would have to catch, but if he caught a good amount and still hit 20+ homers, that would do huge for his stock as well, right? And it would boost his stock. But if I was thinking, if I'm the coach and I'm looking for you to up your game, which means I don't want you to drop to 21 homers, like I want you to get to 31 homers, right? So like if playing third base was an option, I think that also boosts his stock as well. And I would imagine going through the fall next year, he's going to get ample chance to say, can you do this too? Because if you can, that not only gives us versatility, but it'll boost your stock as well and makes the team that much better. So I didn't think about third base being a possibility for him, but if it is in the cards, we'll see. That'll be interesting.
And look, I wouldn't be shocked if maybe Jay doesn't have any plan of playing him at third, but you're going to see him play third in the fall, probably.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, in the fall. Yeah.
Like you're going to have some games him start at third base so that when scouts scout him in the fall,
if you pop into the gates next year, don't be surprised. Just off the top of my head, don't be surprised if you see Jared Jones at third.
Yeah.
If that makes it to being a springtime thing, we'll see. That'll still be. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's doing that in the fall.
And and then obviously the infield as far as second, short, and third are set. I think Milam's set at second, but I don't know. Maybe he thinks he should be a shortstop.
That's my idea of what
you should do with him. Those three guys are going to be in those three positions. At what position, I don't know.
Yeah, that's
and that'll be interesting.
That's another interesting one because we got news that the kid from Utah State. He plays mostly second base.
Yeah.
We know Milam can play short as well.
Right.
We also know Braswell can play short as well. We also know Braswell can move because the glove can play. It's like, it's going to be those three guys. To what tune, where? I don't know. We'll see.
And then you got a whole nother conversation about the outfield competition, right? You bring in a kid in the portal from
and the
Auburn,
outfield's deep.
Right? He brings a dynamic of being very good defensively, being able to take extra bases, steal bags at the top of the lineup or the bottom of the lineup, whatever way you want them. Then you have the three guys that, Pearson, you can put him in there. He is playing. All right, I think he's a senior. He's a veteran guy. He comes up clutch at bat after clutch at bat. I think he's earned the right to start every day. Then you got Larson, who was starting every day at the back end of the season, and you have Brown, who started every day in the postseason. So you have those three guys that are going to be there, plus you have the Curiel kid, who is an enormous recruit that obviously Jay is very familiar with since he's been recruiting him since he was in 7th grade. So he's now there. So you have to figure out how to make all of this work. Plus, you bring in all these other big boppers that are supposed to play first/DH. Well, you got to get them in the lineup if they're good enough. So maybe they start playing a corner outfield spot here or there. Who knows? It's going to be a lot. There's a lot of talent, a lot of competition. It should be an interesting fall. Gives us a lot to talk about whenever on that Wednesday during football season, because Monday and Tuesday, Monday you're recapping the weekends. LSU, how they do, what did they do wrong, what did they do great, all of the other games that have happened. You're watching Monday Night Football in studio, and you talk about all that. And then on Wednesday, everybody's just kind of like, I don't really know. It's too early to start getting super excited about the next week's game. And so that's when you start, mixing in some baseball fall talk. And it's going to be a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, when I think about that outfield next year, I'm not exactly sure how it's going to play out. Like you said, you got Jake Brown. You got Stanfield. Pearson, I don't know if you can pencil him in every day. But what I do know is you can go ahead and pencil him in for about 200 at-bats.
Yeah.
He's going to be in there somewhere, some way, somehow, and he's going to get at-bats. It's very clear that him and Jay have built a rapport. They've built a relationship. There's a lot of trust there. Pearson is a key guy, and he's a cornerstone of what they're going to do as long as he's in purple and gold. So he's going to be a part of the number, and to probably the tune of 150 to 200 at bats. It's just where at in the lineup, if you will. But there is, like he said, man, there was only a couple weeks ago we sat there and there was 11 scholarship guys, like he said, on the roster. And to where it stands today with what they were able to land in the portal, with the kids that took their name out of the draft and are coming to school, where they're at today, it's remarkable to see, and it gives you a ton of excitement. And it's hard to not look at it and be like, oh, they're right back in the mix for next year.
Yeah.
That's the pressure that comes with it, right? Because you could like almost rewind 2 months, and it's like, what is the roster construction like? What's the construction kind of? What are you trying to do?
The pressure 2 months ago was, hey, you better have a roster that is a World Series type team, right? So that was the pressure, and then you bring it in, and now the pressure is, okay, you brought that in, now get us back to the World Series.
I would even say like the doubt of like, can you do this? And it's like, I don't understand where people are like getting some of that conjecture of, oh, I don't like the people that he's bringing in. It's not of these, like, the big guys. Like, obviously, he set the precedent very high where he started with the third baseman he brought in and Jacob Berry, and then you have Paul Skeens, and it was like, all right, go get the biggest player in the portal. And
well,
it's like, that's not.
But he only needed to get a few. He mentioned that. He just had to fill in a couple spots, and so he just put all his attention on those spots and did it, right? Hey, we get you. You're going to take us to the next level. They did that.
And
now he had to go.
Good people leave.
Exactly.
They go to the draft,
and now you have to reconstruct an entire team. And I think he did that with filling in some holes with guys who have had a lot of college innings. You know, maybe not at the top schools, but guys who have had success. And then, look, he had a plan the whole time, right? He understood things that were going on behind the scenes that nobody else did because they aren't there. And having these conversations with the players, and maybe he had a pretty good idea that Jared Jones would come back. Not only because he wouldn't get not even because of the draft, because Jared Jones had a desire to come back, right? And so we didn't know that, right? Jared's not telling us, yeah, I really do want to come back. If my number is this, I'm gone. But Jay did, and so maybe Jay thought, okay, I have a good chance of coming back, and so then he was able to construct his plan and execute his plan based off the information he had that 98% of the people don't have, right? And so. Everybody has this nervousness, but you got to trust that this guy knows what he's doing. He's done it for 3 straight years.
Yeah, I would say him knowing what he had mindset-wise from Bear Jones, from Michael Braswell, knowing that those guys loved everything that they were able to get out of being in purple and gold and want the opportunity to do it again if it made a lot of sense for him. I think that kind of went hugely into kind of seeing what was going on, I guess, position player-wise when we're sitting here and they're not, quote-unquote, landing this transfer, quote-unquote, landing this or landing that. He knew that there was a good chance he may be getting those guys back, and as it stood, he has gotten those guys back. Now, to be able to plug them into the team again next year, it's huge for him. And it's going to go a long way. And now, we talked about before, and we said, man, like, when I look around the country and I'm looking at good teams, I need to see guys that I know are staples, guys that I know that are not coming out of the lineup. And I would imagine both of those guys are pretty much dudes you're going to see start 50-plus times next year. Like, they're not coming out of the lineup. And I think Jay knows that about them. I think they know that about themselves. And when you're able to place guys like that on the field, it does make it better for – it makes it better for them. It makes it better for the guys around them. It makes it better for guys to understand, all right, who's leading us in this situation? And I think when you start finding those things out, that's how a team continues to grow as a team and start to understand who they are quicker than usually other teams do.
So I'm reading something right now. So there's a guy.
No way. Reading?
On Twitter, right? There's a guy, his name is Coach Beatty. It's Tyler
Beatty?
Tyler Beatty's dad, right? And he's a coach. He's connected. He's tweeting right now from a Division I coach. And I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to explain, like, hey, this used to be the rule, but then COVID changed it. I believe it will be 25 or 26 season at the latest. Not sure what the exact agreed-upon number will be, but they have been talking about 32, 33, 34, 35 as a number with no other players, no JV, no red shirt, just a number. That's talking about roster size, right? So there is going to be a hard cap here soon on the size of roster that you can have in Division I baseball, in college baseball. When we were there, I think the year before I got to LSU, or maybe my year, it was the first year they had the hard cap. You can only have 35 guys on your roster, or scholarship guys on your roster. And it was a hard cap, and you couldn't go over that, and you had and then COVID hit, and it expanded.
We knew this was coming down the pipe sooner or later. Right?
Yeah.
After the kind of COVID years kind of got filtered out, we knew this was going to be coming back to a thing sooner or later. So now we're getting some kind of foresight into a window of when it might actually be happening, but we knew this was coming down the pipe at some point.
Yeah, so, and, that's gonna take away, right? Everybody was wondering, how do you fix all these guys leaving from these smaller schools and going to the portal, and everybody's in the portal every year. Well, now you're not going to be able to, as a coach, go and bring in 50, 40-something guys and then, have guys leave and have 40 guys on your roster that you can mix and match and play wherever you want. You can only have, whatever that number is going to be, it's going to be a lot less. And so these guys that maybe want to get in the portal and move somewhere else, maybe they'll think twice about it because, hey, well, there's not a lot of spots open at these other schools. So it'll be interesting to watch, especially after we're talking about all this recruiting stuff and guys coming back. It's, when you're in this situation like this and you have guys that you currently have on your team that are going to go in the draft that decide to end up coming back that you maybe anticipated leaving, this is going to cause some issues with some teams, right? You're going to have to make some decisions, like you said, some hard decisions.
Yeah.
And they haven't had to do that over the last 3 or 4 years because of the COVID stuff, but that's about to change. It's Ask Mikey and Mitch. Do we have any questions?
We do.
They're all for Jay, huh?
No, they're not all for Jay. They're all for the boys. They're all for Ask M and M. Do miss Ask M and M because we had our guy, McGee, just unloading.
And you bring him back in.
On Keith Law. Where I texted him.
I'm glad you didn't say anything to Jay about it.
It was up in the air. He said it's a conversation that I would like. It's a story that's better in person, and I was like, I don't know if he wants to tell it on air, but I would never want to put him in that spot. But McGee, on the other hand, had no qualms about talking about Keith Law, and he said one text, and then he was like, "I'm not done. I'm still upset." He texted me. He's like, "I see that you're mad." I was like, "It's just a goofball," and he was like, "I'm going at him again." Yeah, he's like,
"Hey,
I'm gonna be up for a while."
McGee's not scared.
McGee will ain't no burner account. McGee is coming for your neck if you got something goofy to say. He ain't scared of it, and I respect it. I respect the hell out of it, honestly.
Yeah, and that's why would love to have him in, but let me get to the Ask Him and Him. I have to do the search because
so many.
As much as I like to pull it up on the actual show, we got to keep the stream strong.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get. Oh, well, it's one we've already tackled, but in light of dead air, let's just do it anyway. Ask Mikey and Mitch.
Y'all think
we're dead? The air's dead?
Yeah.
Sounds like the producing should be a little more ahead of it.
Well, yeah, I can only.
I'm just saying if it's dead air, we said it was Ask Eminem.
That's what I'm saying. So we get to this one. Ask Eminem.
Okay.
Lance James, do you think it's possible we see Barry Jones get a good amount of reps behind the plate? And then I'll get to the next one.
Barry Jones, we said that already.
I know, but just do it.
Okay, yes. that's why you're saying dead air.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's why I said producing.
I got
Sounds like producing should have been,
I don't know if y'all have seen a lot of other shows where there's more than one person.
No, we're not doing that right now. No, we're not doing that. No,
I do expect him to get some innings behind the plate. I don't know if the innings are going to be in the fall or if they're going to be in the spring. But I wouldn't be shocked to see him get them. And if the guys, especially if the guys that he brought in to fill that catcher role, don't live up to the expectations early on.
Yeah, to try to not be, I guess, so much on the same suit, I imagine that his catcher's gear will be getting used and he will be doing blocking drills. I'm just not sure if it's going to be in the fall or if it's going to actually go into the spring as well. But I do think he's going to get some innings back there.
Would it be – this is a me question. Like, obviously they bring in Aaron Beatty, but who would be, like, the next guy you have – that has significant catching experience, like Priester, yeah.
Priester.
Yeah.
But
I'm just Priester. That's the name. I couldn't remember it earlier.
Locked in over here.
Yeah.
But that's why I think that it's like a legitimate chance that he has, because you can't have a freshman catch every day, and expect a lot of like output. Like you need somebody that you're like, all right, I trust you to be back here for at least one game.
Yeah, and like if you're gonna start a freshman catcher, you want to have a veteran guy that they can go back and forth, right? Freshman year, Mikey Gibbs started as a catcher. Him and Sean Chinko kind of went back and forth for a while,
And
right?
Sean played himself into a different position in the
Until
lineup.
exactly,
Yeah.
right? Until Mike has said, okay, I am the guy.
Yeah.
I've earned that spot and play every day, whatever. So like, you're not going to go into the fall and say you're the freshman catcher and you're starting day one every day. Like, that's not going to happen. So Blake Priester, and then that's why I think Bear's going to get some innings in the fall.
Yeah, I think like off the top of my mind, if I'm just thinking about last year, 2024, this season that just passed, Auburn Tigers, right? Ike Irish is the first name that comes up in my mind when it comes to freshman catchers. He was basically the guy from day one, started, and he had an unbelievable season. I think he hit like 320, somewhere around there, and hit some pops. But that staff was not very good. But that team was not very good. So when I think, hey, if I'm going to give my catcher spot up to a freshman and he's literally going to handle the lion's share, it is so odd and so hard for that to end up being a really good team because you just need a real general back there. And it's hard for a freshman to come in and kind of take that role on already when he has so little time here. So with that being said, yeah, I do think he's going to be – Aaron Beatty is going to kind of go back and forth with probably the Priester kid or whoever, but somebody else is going to have to bear some of that weight back there, and he's going to have to be a part of it in the beginning, I hope, and maybe take over it through the year somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's nothing more evident than what you saw with Milazzo when you're like, you need, like, how much of an emphasis did we put on that throughout the year? Like, look how much better he makes the pitching staff. So I think,
If I talk about that team this year, you go back to the year before, and don't get me wrong, that team was really good, but it went to another level, and the team got better when you just said, hey, this guy's a general back there. The other guy that we had back there as well is learning. He's young, he can hit, he's talented. But the other guy's a general right now, and I think the team got better when it was Milazzo back there.
It's such a weird position to describe. Like, no, you don't understand. Like, if you've never been in it, where you're like, no, he is commanding the troops in a sense.
Yeah, it is. And that's why you also see a lot of ex-catchers become
managers,
major league managers, and or coaches because it rolls. They know what they're doing back there.
From our guy Fonz, ask him. Do players have a timeline on when they can change their mind on going pro if they didn't get the offer they wanted? I feel like a lot of people are kind of confused about how Major League Baseball draft works, because I am too.
Perfect. Okay, so...
That's the one answer then. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. So, the draft happens July 15th. You get drafted on July 15th. The deadline to sign to make your decision to sign is July 31st, I believe. It used to be you get drafted in June, and August 15th was the deadline, so you had all summer to negotiate. So is there a deadline? Yeah, July 31st is done. If you do not sign and agree to go play or to whatever dollar amount that they give you, and you have eligibility left in college, you can go back to school and return to school, right? The draft has changed in recent years where a lot of guys are making that decision early on, so there's not this long negotiation process. But you have up until July 31st to decide if you're going to go to school or not. And then if you have eligibility left, you can go back to school. So it is unlike any other professional draft where you do not technically have to declare for the draft. If you're eligible to get drafted, you get drafted unless you say, I'm pulling my name out, which we found out on Monday when William Schmidt was in here that he goes, I don't think it really means that you're actually removing yourself from the draft. You're just saying, hey, I'm not signing, don't draft me. You're technically still enrolled in the draft. So you don't have to declare. You're already in the draft. If you're eligible and someone wants to draft you, they're more than welcome to draft you with a risk of them not signing the pick. But there is a deadline, and it's unlike any other professional draft.
Yeah, I think for people, like the one little bit I can add on that is for people like when William Smith came in here, when they're telling you, hey, I'm out of the draft, you're not out of the draft pool. But you're basically telling those teams, because the way the draft is set up, each team has a allotted pool of money. Each team gets a pick. If somebody's telling you they're not going to take the money, they're not going to take the pick, then you essentially lose that draft pick. No one wants to lose that draft pick. So at that point, when somebody says that, and mind you, they've had conversations with people about how signable they are. So they have an idea if you're kind of telling the truth. So when you say that, that's basically telling you, don't draft me because I ain't coming. So no team is going to draft you when you kind of go out and say something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, especially back in the old draft when Michael Vick got drafted and he hadn't played baseball since his sophomore year of high school. But no,
That's not. But it's not the same because that was also like so far down the line. Like it's,
well, that's what I'm saying. Like that's how flexible the picks can be.
So when you have 50 picks, the guys you're getting drafted. This is not a slight to any of those guys. Very rarely did a guy that got drafted after the 35th round, really after the 30th round, make it to the big leagues, right? And then from like the 35th round to the 50th round, which is wild to think they had 50 rounds. But from those picks, majority of those guys probably aren't even going to make it through spring training the next year.
Or show up.
Right? They're going to know. They'll sign, and they'll go there, and they'll go to spring training, and then they'll be cut. Right? And that's just now they've trimmed that fat already from the beginning. And now there's not 50 rounds, there's 20 rounds.
Yeah. And also, too, but like for guys like here that are possible coming to LSU, a lot of these guys are highly sought after and well in the picture of like these first 3 to 5 rounds, where the dollar amount that's slotted to these rounds is a pretty significant amount. So if you're telling me you're not signing and you're taking your name out of the draft and you don't want to be signed, well, I know if I can't get him at this price, I'm probably not going to get him later either. So like I'm out. And I'm not going to take him at this spot when he just said, I'm out. I'm not taking that money anyway. So, like, that's kind of how that situation goes at that point.
What questions did you have on the drive? Why are you confused?
Just because I'm so used to, like, the 30-round draft where it's, like, the slot money and people get, like, oh, he didn't go in the first 3 rounds. It's like, well, there's also a world where he gets picked in the 10th round,
right? And
the money's allocated differently.
Well, and they still can do that.
You still can do that.
Yeah, I know
to an extent, right? But you have a
confusing.
limit, right? Back then, you could do as much as you wanted. They say there's penalty, but it didn't matter. Now, like Griffin Herring got paid more than his slot value is worth, significantly more than his slot value is worth in the 8th round, 6th round, whenever he got drafted, and so that's why he signed. And so what they do is they have a pool of money, and if they sign a guy for less than their allotted slot, then some of that money that they didn't sign that's left over, they can put towards maybe a guy who fell in the 5th round and can give them maybe 2nd round money or 3rd round money.
Or you've been having a conversation like, all right, like, no. It's like, well, what if we bump it up to this? And it's like, okay, yeah, take me.
Well,
right.
But I say, well, the thing is, realistically, like, you can still do. If I said, hey, if Bear Jones was supposed to go in the 3rd or 4th and he doesn't, and they take him in the 20th, Bear Jones still has his number.
Right.
Yeah, right, of course.
So with that being said is now I only have this pool. I can't go over the pool. So for me to be able to sign him at this spot means that there's a whole bunch of other people I'm either shaving off of or I can't sign. That's not a good draft. Just to be able to get somebody that,
Hail Mary.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of how that's why the situation is the way it is these days.
It's like fantasy football with the auction draft. You're like, I'm gonna spend all my coin right now.
Yeah.
And get the guy.
Right.
Yep.
Ask him.
Yep.
Do you think at any point we could see, just because of the Bear Jones, I didn't mean to cut you off. Do you think at any point we could see Bear Jones at a corner outfield spot? Personally, don't think a spot will be open, but if it's Bear, he's not the biggest, like, he's not the slowest big man of all time, which I think has been drastically not talked about enough. Like his athleticism.
Yeah, I think they sit down in the fall, and I think they have a conversation to where Bear leaves Jay's office, Bear goes to the equipment room, Bear now has 5 different gloves that he will bring out to the field throughout the fall. But with that being said, I don't think, health willing and all of this stuff and performance willing, they are so deep in the outfield right now. I just don't think that'll be the spot where he ends up playing a significant amount of time. I think your better chances are third base and first base, and obviously catcher as well. If you really want to go, you want to go first base, catcher, probably third base.
Yep.
I think that's probably the spots. But yeah, I do think in the fall, once again, you happen to walk through those gates and see what they're doing in practice in the fall, you may see him in left field. Yeah, I think that's possible. I just don't think that's going to be a real thing come the spring.
Couldn't agree more. Not because he can't.
Yeah,
he's very capable of playing.
It just
left.
doesn't fit this team.
It just does. There's no reason to even force it out there because you have enough guys. You got to figure out who you're going to put in the outfield already. So, not because of not being able to do it or not being able to trust them, but hey, you're going to play first and catcher, and maybe some third. That's plenty. And because here's at the end of the day, it's not. You do want to show that he's versatile and he can play all these different positions, but he's got to get in some work on what he's going to do during the season. He's got to get ready for the year too.
And there may be a situation in the fall where who knows what kind of relationship Jay has with some of these scouts and our upper management people. There may be someone here in town that's like, hey, I'm here in town. I'm going to come watch y'all practice for 2 or 3 days. Jay's like, well, look, I just want to let you know you can play left field too. So he'll play left field in these three scrimmages, just so you can kind of get an eye on it, just so you can kind of see it.
Yeah.
Like there's reasons for it. I just don't think by the time we get to the spring, it's going to make mathematical sense for this team to have him in the outfield.
And it's almost doing a disservice to what Bear Jones has done at first, where I think he's criminally underrated. And you heard Jay say, like, he played a phenomenal first base, and people are acting like he didn't whenever it got so much better quickly, where you're like, dude, he's good over there. And
he's really good over there, but I don't think it's outplaying or not putting enough emphasis on what he does at first base. I just want you to think of it this way, Lloyd. Futures game this year. Did Trey Morgan get into the Futures game because of he's a slick fielding first baseman? How many times have you heard someone talk about his glove in the field this year?
None.
Nobody cares. And I respectfully, as good as he is over there, that's why first basemen don't get the value that they should in the draft sometimes. Because it's crazy because Mikey told you, like the footwork of it and being able to play first base, it's not easy.
Hardest position you can do.
But it's always underlooked for what you're actually asked to do, and that's just kind of the tricks of the trade. It's like playing O-line. Like nothing works if we don't block, but we don't always get the love that we should be getting. That's just kind of how it is.
Yep. Next.
Ask Coach Jay. He has left the show, but I will bring this to you. Ask him. Give us your Friday, Saturday, Sunday pitching rotation for next year.
Why do they do this to us all the time?
I don't know. I mean, you got
Chase Shores Friday. Tell you that. That's what
Chase Shores Friday. I'm even more bought into it now because we didn't know the insight that he just broke to us on the show in the sense of he was active next week if they got into the Super Regional. So with that being said, going into next fall, it's hard for me to believe he's not the Friday night guy. So I'm gonna go Chase Shores Friday night.
oh, Saturday.
Nobody. I'm
Cade?
not. I'm
Saturday,
not saying anything.
I think it's going to be up between Cade and the last kid that they just signed in the portal that was with USA Baseball as well. I forget his name.
San Diego Ayenson.
Yeah, Anthony Ayenson. Yeah,
Ayenson.
I think it's going to be a mix between them. And then honestly, for the Sunday / midweek role, however you want to look at it, I think you see William Schmidt do a lot of what you got to see for what he said, 19 1/3 innings of Chase Shores his freshman year. I think you get a lot of that. Because when I look at those two as freshmen, I think you could probably say on a not its top end, but on a literal average basis, you probably see Chase Shores' fastball like half a tick up from William Schmidt. But I think William Smith's breaking ball as a freshman coming in is a whole lot better than Chase Shores's. And I think he enters his freshman year with 2 like real pitches. 2 plus pitches. So I think he's got that kind of an opportunity, and who knows where it can go from there.
Y'all were so high on Cade Anderson. Cade Anderson, I'd imagine he'd get a rip at being a starter.
I just said him. I just said him for the Saturday job. But no, I'm still super high on him, but you got to understand, you're asking me, what do I think? Well, I'm looking at the roster. They brought in 3 or 4 other guys who've started some other places. I'm sure they didn't just sell them all. Hey, you're going to come throwing a pin. So somebody else has got to be getting the opportunity. That's all I'm saying.
I think to start the season, you'll have Cade Anderson. I mean, I think Cade Anderson is going to be in the
It's a hell of a Sunday starter.
all year. I think he could be Saturday. I don't know. You have to go and watch these guys do it.
Right.
You can't make that decision.
Yeah. Like, so I'm glad you said that. Like, and I'm sure he feels the same way. I'm not off of anything I ever said about Cade Anderson. But what I am telling you is that I know damn sure Chase Shores is going to start if he's good, right? So why else would Jay bring all these other guys that have started at the college level in? They're obviously in the mix for getting a starting spot. There's just no way in hell he was able to sell to them all, hey, come here one more year, a year closer to you getting drafted, and I'm going to diminish your role. So somebody else has got to be in the mix for getting a spot.
Yeah.
So that's why I said that.
Yeah,
I don't. That's
I'm
why
not guaranteeing you anything. But
yeah,
I'm
that's
selling
why
you on an opportunity.
That's why I said it. So I still think Cade. If Cade goes out there and does Cade thing, Cade will be in the rotation.
Well, and here's the other thing: you need 4 starters.
Yeah.
So let's not.
Well, Skip said you need 2.5.
Yeah, to win a World Series. But like you have 4 games, at least 4 games a week that you have a starter pitching. Like then you don't want to use bullpen days. So, Kate Anderson got a lot of his experience in the midweek, and that's how a lot of these talented freshmen start. Right? It's hard to come in as a freshman in the top conference in the country against some of the top competition and jump in there and be the ace. Right? There's only a handful of guys that have been able to do that from day one as a freshman starter. And you gotta work your way through. Hey, okay, you're good, you're talented, you can pitch. And even go midweek.
Even the dudes that did do it too, respectfully speaking, when they showed up on that said roster didn't really have an ace, so they were able to. All right, you are gonna be that guy,
Yeah, the only. Yeah, I mean, 2012, Nola jumped in as that guy, but he was a summer 2 guy behind Gosman.
Yep, and when Gosman came in he did it, but who was the guy in front of him?
Actually, they didn't have one.
That's
Gosman,
my point. Like, yeah, exactly.
So you need 4 starters. I think Kate Anderson is going to be one of the top 3. And then you got even the freshmen you brought in. You're going to have them be able to throw midweek.
Yeah, freshman transfers. Like I think that is the most palatable projection, especially for a young guy. Like the talent is everything that you have in William Schmidt, but. You don't want to thrust him in on a Saturday first time, be like, here you go. That's why you came here.
Yeah.
And I think that there was a little bit of kind of you recruit in a way and go into the portal without the idea that he was coming to campus. You can't assume that.
Well, look, I think if he's mentally and physically able to do it, you have no problem with doing it. Throwing him out there on a Friday night and or Saturday night. It is just so hard for the roster configuration at a school like this to validate that. If that is, I don't give a shit how good he is. If he is the best at what you got, there's a good chance your roster's probably not where it needs to be. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so that's where it becomes, it's not necessarily about what his abilities is or is not.
It's about the roster.
It's about the roster you already have here. It's iron sharpens iron here. We should be good enough to where I don't have to rely on you as the ace or as the focal point of what we do. That's where it should be, coming out of the gates at least.
Yep.
Ask Eminem from Fonz. Does gumbo go on rice or potato salad?
I love that. He always does it.
Fonz wants to know about our life, bro. I respect it.
Listen,
gumbo all day.
Gumbo goes on the rice. You can put some potato salad in there if you want. I'm not a potato salad guy.
I'm not a potato salad guy at all. I don't really like mayo,
Gotta have
so
rice.
That's
Rice.
not me.
Unless you're Tyler Shelvin.
But rice, I could do rice 7 days a week, bro. I could live off of that.
Have you ever done the sweet potato in the gumbo?
No.
Come on, bro.
My mom is a pretty.
She's a very talented cook.
Yeah, that's been the staple in the household for a long time, and it's fire.
Nah.
So you give it a go.
I respect your mama, man. I ain't doing all that.
Well, it's not potato
I'm not eating
salad.
gumbo, Josh.
Oh, you're making a huge mistake. Massive mistake. Now, Tim.
His mom can't cook.
Now, Tim, the father, has a seafood gumbo that would be.
There we go. Hey, look, I'm messing with Tim. Yeah.
Ain't no fucking.
I'll try that blind
potato in that
I'm
one.
a chicken and sausage guy.
Yeah, I love both.
I love both, but I don't really.
You got to have some.
I respect your mama too.
But you got to have some huevos to make a seafood gumbo. Be like, dude, it's top tier, because that's harder than the chicken.
Yeah.
Chicken sausage, and it's fire.
More parts.
Ask Eminem. You're gonna hate this one. At this point, from Lance James, what are your predictions for the starting 9 next season?
There you go.
I'm not.
There you go, bro. I don't know, man. They got a lot of guys, man. It really doesn't make any sense.
You gotta play.
Hey, respectfully, it just doesn't make any sense to try to figure out what it's gonna be because it's just not, man. They have a lot of guys. They have a lot of guys who deserve a look, who deserve the attention. I've said it a lot on this show, and I'll continue to say it. I think last year taught Jay a whole bunch on how and when and how often and how I want to narrow down this big pool of players that I have that are all very talented. because at some point we got to get to the meat and potatoes, not the potato salad or the sweet potatoes, just the meat and potatoes, and really get this lineup going. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, it's not worth predicting that. It's too long, too far away. Too many
far
things
away.
can happen. Listen, Milan was probably buried on the bench in the fall.
I think he was buried on the bench the entire fall.
Yeah, so
He didn't have a great fall.
Terrible.
He had 330 and was a freshman All-American.
Yeah.
So you just never know. You gotta let it play out. Baseball is a different sport as far as it takes some time. Basketball and football you can kind of see pretty quickly what these guys can do. Baseball, you have guys who stink at practice and gamers. I hit 4 home runs in my career in the fall, combined in 3 years.
Too cold.
Just not. Oh, it wasn't cold. It was just it's different, and like.
I got 0 on the fall.
Yeah. Well,
No,
he doesn't
he
play. He didn't play in the fall. Okay.
We got the same amount.
Like you had guys that go in there and rake in the fall, and then they rake in the spring, or other way. So it's just never know. It's hard to predict.
Ever
this early.
evolving.
It's ever evolving. But what you can't talk about because it's closer is the football season.
Well, do you want to get to the rest of these questions?
Oh, I thought we're done. I
No.
thought when you do the lighthearted question, that means it's over.
No, I just wanted to pepper one in
Oh,
just
okay,
to because
okay.
I hate whenever it gets like we get into these and you're like I don't want to answer that because I don't know and I know what y'all think
Well,
about
why do you
them.
keep Why do you
Oh,
keep
'cause I wanna
reading ones
give
that
the-
I'm not going to answer?
Sometimes you surprise me. Ask him and him. How crazy is it to see a coach is locked into recruiting and tweeting about it like Jay?
I think that's the honestly. I think it's common.
I don't know if
Say
you
common.
see.
Common's the wrong word. Common's the wrong word. I think it's becoming more common, right? And we see it because of Jay. I don't follow Vitello or the Tennessee faithful, so I don't know if they're doing it as well. But Jay understands what the culture is. He understands what the recruiting culture is. He understands how to recruit, and so he is doing that. I know Nolan and them at Texas now are doing similar stuff. Like that, he's very good at it. He's kind of mastered it.
Oh,
And
yeah, it's a hack, for
he
sure.
he knows that it is a big part of the job. You know it as well, Lloyd. I mean, you're trying to build your dynasty right now in 2020 NCAA football 2020. It's an all 24-hour thing.
We're DMing.
Hey, you're sending letters.
but-
Yeah,
DMs.
I think we feel that way, or whoever asked the question feels that way because that's what we see. I just think it's part of our culture because you got to remember, you are part of what the kids do these days, right?
You're part of the brand, too.
And as much as you may want to be old school about it, that's fine. I'm not saying you have to get into it, but stuff like this does draw you, connect you to the younger generation, and that is what you are recruiting, the younger generation. So I think it's a little more prevalent than what people think. It doesn't surprise me at all, and it kind of goes with the job. It's not a prerequisite. It's not a necessity. But I'm not shocked at all by seeing a lot of coaches active that way.
That's
Well, you
what
know what? I'm looking at Tony Vitello. I don't even think he has
that's what I was gonna say.
a Twitter.
I know Nolan puts it out a lot. So
Nolan does. I was just going through another coach.
Yeah, but this, from my perspective, this is the first time. It happens in football a lot. You've seen head coaches tweet about a recruit, you saw Ed O do it. But for a college baseball coach to be the one to announce that something's coming, but doesn't he doesn't ruin the moment. He doesn't take the shine away
Right.
from the kid, but he's like, something's about to happen.
Yeah.
I've never seen it from a college
Jay
baseball
doesn't run his
perspective.
Twitter, right?
Yes, he absolutely does.
I don't think.
I actually like it though because you're also it's another way to control a narrative, right? It's
You're
another
so
way to
wrong.
control and know what you're doing.
He's telling him, "Hey, tweet this, do
No,
this," but he's doing it.
Yes.
Okay.
His person. That's what I'm saying. It's a small glimpse into his personality. He thinks it's funny.
All right.
Not here or here so much. Right around here.
Yeah. No, I think it's great to see him do that. I think it's a necessary part of recruiting, and that's why he's so good at
But
it.
he made it part of he made it part of the brand.
Yep.
It's hard to stick out in LSU baseball.
Mikey's only saying that because he just recently, if y'all didn't know,
Mikey's so
he
terrified
just
of
recently
Twitter.
stopped. He just stopped doing the mic'd up tweet. So y'all not talking to him anymore when y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen.
The amount of people that spell your name wrong when it's in the fucking handle.
Dude, it doesn't matter. Pronounce and say it wrong.
Yeah.
It's really not that hard.
And it's not even you. Well, anymore.
not me anymore.
It just stopped
I'm
being
retired.
him. So
Yeah.
y'all just missed it.
I put my Twitter fingers away.
You had your chance.
I mean,
Had your
I
shot.
feel like it's pretty obvious that it's not me, but
Yeah, I mean, some of them could be.
yeah.
Oh. See if there's any at the bottom. Oh, God, Lord.
A lot.
Oh, there's one you don't like.
Couple more.
Oh, here we go. Lance James. A fun one. No, I feel like we've already had that one. Sorry, fellas. I like to give them their time. I know. Ask Eminem. Thoughts on the left-handed pitching on the roster, and are there enough? And I'll only bring this up because LSU just snagged another left-handed pitcher, where it felt like it was starting from what you had last year, where it was very much like left-handed heavy.
Yeah, how'd that work out, though?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So you pivoted, but then it becomes you have to have some.
Yeah, I think you got 4 or 5, right?
Yes.
Now on the
Truly
roster.
only need like 2 or 3. Dude.
Yeah, I think you got plenty. Especially if they all look. DJ Primo showed you at the end of the year that
he's
throwing in pretty good.
He's actually throwing well in the summer too.
Yeah, he has. So
you have 4 on the roster as of now, with the current commitment of Cooper Williams, who they
snag.
Yeah, at the stroke of midnight, got Cooper Williams from Texas A&M.
Stroke
So
of
that
midnight,
with him, you have Williams, DJ Primo, Gate Anderson, and Connor Ware, a transfer.
And it seems like 3 of those guys are probably in the pen. Well, yeah, 3 of those guys, maybe all 4, but it seems like 3 of those guys will be in the pen.
And another flip, just because I'm on the page right now. Ethan Klaus from Nevada comes to LSU. Obviously, part of Jay's territory, where he's in that Western Hemisphere a little bit, where he goes to California, Arizona, Nevada. Had a pitching coach over there, so not surprising to see him grab another recruit from that area.
Yeah.
Another building block there.
Another building block.
Yeah. It's the 42nd ranked player nationally. Not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
Those don't usually play and pan out.
But yeah, I think you have plenty enough lefties.
Lance James asked Mikey and Mitch, what are your expectations from Cade Woods? I feel like it was a decent name, but only saw him a few times. I don't know the answer either.
Stay healthy.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing right there.
I mean, stay healthy and give us an opportunity to see it. We don't know. I don't know anything about it.
We didn't get to see. Yeah, the health part is the most important part, and we didn't really get to see it. So that's I'm not in the locker room every day. I'm not with him every day. I don't see it every day. So something needs to be seen. We didn't really get a chance to see it, respectfully.
Yep. That's it, because all of these are questions you hate, so we won't do it. Closer we get to the season, maybe. DJ Pickett.
Yeah. So appreciate your all your questions for Ask Mikey and Mitch. We have a long ways to go. 6 weeks of football season, not as long. Football seems to be on everybody's mind because the NCAA football game dropped this week, and you're getting a lot of NFL conversations with Hard Knocks, which I haven't seen the next episode, but you said it's pretty wild.
Yeah, man.
You said it's pretty wild.
Do
you think that they're going to continue to do
I
this?
like it. It's very hard for me to believe that if you thought that they were out on you being in the building just to see their day-to-day player operations, to be able to see how they make their decisions, it's hard for me teams are going to be like, yeah, come on in. We can keep doing this.
Yeah.
I just don't. I like it. I think it's a very interesting
I love it.
perspective, and I'm sure they're getting great views on this thing. I just don't know how that many teams are just openly saying, yeah, I want you in here with cameras on when I'm talking to my most high-priced player and how we're going to do the decision-making of keeping and or letting him walk.
Yeah.
I can't, the lashback that they're going to get from this whole Saquon Barkley thing and how it goes, not only in the New York media, but I would also imagine with other high-priced players, they're going to be like, oh, this is how you think about me? I'm good. I don't want to go there. Yeah. So, it's just hard for me to believe that teams are going to keep saying,
and look,
yeah, come on, let's do this.
And not that what they're saying is wrong.
No.
It's just stuff that you don't – look, a good comparison is like the baseball arbitration, right? Like when you're when you're an owner or you're part of a team that has – or you're representing the owner of a team, your job is to get the best asset for the cheapest price. Right? And, the negotiation comes all right, we don't want to insult him. We want to give you the value that he has, but we also need to understand what we can afford. And so those conversations happen. And so then you can't look at them on a personal level for the most part. You got to look at stats. You got to look at all the other numbers and try to figure out where is his value and what can we afford to pay. And, So some of those conversations behind the scenes are not, they're talking about why they shouldn't pay you something. It's not because it's not personal, it's the business side. So in arbitration, that all comes to light. It's there, you're going in front of a judge and you're literally I'm saying why Jared stinks and shouldn't get paid X amount.
Or why he's only worth X amount.
Or why you're only worth X amount, and you're saying, well, no, I've done this, I'm worth X, and you're doing right in front of it. Football, you don't really have to necessarily do that unless you're behind the scenes, you're going from agent to owner, GM, or whatever. But with this, you get to see the messiness of it, and it looks insulting, and it sounds insulting. And as a player, I could take it as insulting because it's not fun. But so yeah, I'm with you. It's hard for these guys
I'll be honest with you
see
too.
that.
Like, this is my first time seeing it on that side. You're kind of tasked with something that's truly unbelievable as a GM, because you're asked to make the hardest decisions and the stuff that's quote unquote in the best interest of the organization, but you're also asked to, I got to talk to this guy who has an emotional draw to this place, who the fan base has an emotional draw to him, and I got to have incredible bedside manner, if you will, by telling him, nah, dog, you got to walk. And that's a very hard thing to do. I'm not exactly sure that every human's equipped to be really good at something like that. And I'm not exactly sure that this guy's really good at something like that. But you're asked to do that because every player is going to look at it. Every player is going to look at it. You did, I did, anybody would. Where I'm coming to you, I told you I want to be here. I've done this and this and this for you. And you're saying, test the market and let us know what the price is. As a player, you're like, well, you don't want me here. I'm good.
Right.
Every player is going to do that. But how do you have that conversation with them? Man, that's a hard conversation. That's a hard way to understand as a human how to have that conversation with a person. And it's kind of incredible seeing this stuff. I would like to keep seeing it. I just don't know that they'll keep allowing these kind of things.
Yeah.
There is a such thing, I think, sometimes is too much access.
Yep, no doubt.
And I like to see it. There is a such thing as that.
No doubt. But with Hard Knocks, with the receiver documentaries on Netflix, the game, football is being talked about at a very high level right now. In the middle of July.
They're not missing.
and you had SEC Media Days that went on this week, or last week.
This week.
No, this week. They're still going.
Through tomorrow.
Yeah, through tomorrow. Forget today's Wednesday.
That's Mikey and Mitch.
And so there's a lot of football conversation, which makes me excited. And then to add on top of that, there was a commitment that was scheduled at 6:00 p.m. tonight. The number one cornerback in the country, DJ Pickett.
If you missed Lloyd's reaction early.
Yeah, Lloyd said that he was a 79% lock. The crystal ball was set, not you.
Yeah.
I mean, Lloyd also said some stuff last week too, but we won't get into that.
69%
heard a lot of things.
Chance, or 79% chance that he was going to go to Oregon, which
hate you.
No shock, because Oregon's dropping the bag on a lot of different players, and he ended up.
This is Lloyd right now. The pinata's hanging up there. He is blindfolded. He's swinging. He ain't hitting shit right now.
I told
Lloyd,
you,
I'm not. I'm on your side. I know you didn't say either one of those.
I'm on the right side of history.
No,
I know you didn't say either one of those.
Here's why I'm giving Lloyd so much shit for it, because I know he didn't say it, but I know Lloyd's only saying it because he's like, oh, this is one we should be looking at because he said it, and it hasn't been going this way.
It's called being a producer. There's news out there. I give it to the chat, and you take it for what it is. I'm not reporting anything, and you'll be goddamned if I ever do.
I'll say, okay, on 3 was reporting that you just
I knew
read
Bear
out.
Jones was coming back before you did.
Oh, man.
Well, on 3 reported 79% he's going to Miami, going to Oregon. DJ Pickett ends up signing with LSU. Corey Raymond, back. Biggest splash he's had since he's been back. He's done a really good job of recruiting, bringing guys in that he believes fits the culture. He knows it very well. This is the first top 10 recruit LSU has brought in, I think, as on that side of the ball since DJ Stingley, or maybe since
on that position, because
Perkins.
Perkins.
Yeah, I think that in like that position since DJ Stingley.
Oh, was it? I mean, Ricks, right? He was a
DJ
5-star.
Stingley.
I mean,
Derek.
But wasn't Eli Ricks?
I was looking at DJ Pickett.
Wasn't Eli Ricks a 5-star?
He's a 5-star.
Yeah, so since Ricks, then probably.
This is
right?
This is what I read. It said Derek Stingley.
Well, they're forgetting about Ricks. Ricks was a 5-star as well.
Yeah,
maybe I guess because he transferred out.
But you could have been. You may.
But
not
they did
have
land
been.
him. Is my point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he had like 4 pick sixes and then pick 6 all the way to Bama.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Harold Perkins is a top 10 overall recruit.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
On both sides of the
This is what the
ball.
article said. I was reading it. So
See
anyway,
what happens when you do
Derek. Well, this was like from like a recruiting service. So On Three or whoever it was
Ooh, just under the boat.
brought him there, and I guess it's maybe the biggest cornerback recruit since Derek Stingley. Maybe that was what
Probably
it was.
the highest rated corner since
Derek
Stingley. He's the
Stingley.
number one corner in the nation.
Obviously, Derek Stingley was brought in by Corey Raymond, and developed by Corey Raymond, and put into the NFL by Corey Raymond. Corey Raymond's back, brings DJ Pickett. I don't think this race is over with. I hope it is, but doesn't seem like it's going to be that way. Great pickup.
I know.
For LSU.
Yeah, but say if you look into the history of the work they did on the back end of this thing to actually get to this date, I know nothing's final until the ink is dry, but I think this is one that's going to stand.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been such a highly talented. It's not like this is pretty late in the recruiting because he's already decommitted from LSU once, I believe. And then you get back.
Did he?
I think so. It was either him or Jabari Antoine. So I don't want to get
Jabari Antoine decommitted from LSU.
And he also has obviously the Westgate connection with Corey Raymond, and that's another one. But if you only get one of two, like I still feel like Corey Raymond has gotten.
This is the guy.
Yeah, I'll take both, obviously.
And I think too, like now that we said that, like when it comes to Jabari Antoine, like if he obviously knew they were in on DJ Pickett as well, who knows what he may have known by the time he said, you know what, I'm gonna be out on this. And like I get it, dude. There's 2 to maybe 3 of them that are on the field, but he's probably thinking in his mind at that time, well, not that it's necessarily a good thing, but like, hey, like there's 2 of us. My chances of us both being on the field for the duration in the same class is probably not super high. So maybe I'll take my name out of this thing because they're still recruiting him super hard, even though I've already committed. So maybe that's where his mindset was at that point. Who
Coach,
knows?
6'4". That's a big.
He's a monster.
Yeah, he's long.
That is a big. That's a wide receiver playing cornerback.
And from all of the quotes that came out from DJ Pickett, this was a Corey Raymond absolute masterclass in recruiting. Like,
because I think he was committed to Florida.
Yeah, he's from Florida, so
I think he was committed to Corey Raymond at Florida, I believe.
But that he's been recruited by Corey Raymond when he was at Florida.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, the relationship was there, and he's like when he went to LSU, they weren't even on the list, and then Corey Raymond goes to LSU.
I think that's what happened. I think he did commit to Florida, and then decommitted, and then obviously followed Corey.
Yeah,
to LSU.
once Corey went to, and that's what I'm trying to tell people, that they've been shitting on this man for no reason because you don't get it. But Corey Raymond, this is what he does, and I only see the recruiting side, but after Jared just said, like, you don't even understand the coaching side, which I don't think people understand either, is that, like, he's elite at both. And to have the quotes that came out from DJ Pickett and everything that has been said, like, what are y'all talking about?
Yeah, I for me, because I know the man, I've seen the man coach, I've been in rooms that he's coached in, and I've literally have really good friends that he's coached. I'm telling y'all right now, if we want to kind of talk about it in baseball terms a little bit as well, the recruiting side is like a plus curveball for him. That's not usually what he's throwing 3-0. Get what I'm saying? Like the coaching side of it and what he does there is his bread and butter. That is his money maker. That is his old number one. That's what he does best. He's just also got a very good secondary pitch as well.
Oh, Landon Lewis, I'll take your information and share it out loud. He said Blake Baker was the first to offer DJ at Miami when DJ was in the 8th grade. So a couple of layers to the recruiting, and that's what happens when you build an elite staff.
Yeah, and that's why I said, too, that I get it. The ink's not dry. That hasn't happened yet, but I feel like with the legwork that they've done as a staff on this one, I think this one's said and done.
Is this going to be the best recruiting class LSU potentially has ever had?
God, they're so good.
So here's the deal.
So good offensive line-wise that, I mean,
think about it. You have the number one quarterback. You don't have the receiver anymore, but now you have the number one cornerback in the country, the number one running back in the country. Like, I'm sure you have another number one somewhere else. I don't know, but
offensive line is just
loaded.
So
long snapper.
You
got another one of them brothers.
I think they're ranked. I think they're the top team in the as far as recruiting ranking goes for this 2025.
Alabama has I think might have it's Oregon, Alabama. LSU is
LSU
in the mix.
just jumped.
I would imagine this changes the rankings. I haven't looked.
I just saw they jumped Oregon and Georgia.
Okay, yeah, and this is where LSU was supposed to be. And for everything that, like Brian Kelly said leading into year 3, like if it's I do think LSU will be really good, but you're starting to see, like, don't jump this man if it's not a playoff team.
Well, you had to establish something to
You
be able
had
to get
a
this
team
recruiting
with
back.
40 people on it.
Yeah, you had to establish something so that you prove to these guys, all right, we're going to continue to do this, and we're going to be that team. And, you know, I think now more than ever it's wide open. I know Georgia's going through their thing right now, but I think that, you know, there's victories to be shared throughout the course of the SEC. What?
Fons Ferrelli, I love it. Thank y'all for this. This is excellent. Coach Hankton tweeted out shortly after the Pickett commitment, and we ain't done yet, so a wide receiver might be.
Is DeCorey Moore coming back?
No, I don't think it's DK.
I don't think so.
No, I think it'd be
That bag looking probably pretty nice.
goal, and that thing is signed, sealed, delivered. Like,
got a lot of checks in
No
it.
doubt. He's already got the house
Different,
picked out.
different kind of checks. There's a lot of checks in Nike checks, all the checks.
but I think it'll probably be French from Texas, who's an elite wide receiver. That's who people are mentioning. He is one that has been flirting with LSU a little bit. There's other guys on the list. French would be like the next highest rated after DK Moore. That would be a huge pickup. He's a man.
You know,
Don't sleep on. It's kind of crazy, especially and obviously he wasn't here and he hasn't been the one that's developed them all. But what the receiver room has done, and Hankton being a young, budding, really good coach as well. Don't sleep on what he's being able to build on when it comes to recruiting and developing those guys when they come in that room as well. Yeah.
It's ranking season, right? Like top quarterbacks, top 10 quarterbacks, top, whatever.
Yeah.
So they're rating the top quarterbacks in the SEC. And when you first see it, obviously as a fan, you're like, oh, that's kind of, it's kind of bullshit. Like, you don't believe that he's that good. Then you look at the other guys, everyone ranked above him has a lot more experience as a starter in college football, but they came out with the top quarterbacks in the SEC, and Nussmeier ranked, I think, 7 or 8.
I've seen him outside of the top 10, honestly.
In the SEC?
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to pull it up.
I'm being honest with you. For me, though, as a ranking, hear what I'm saying right now. As a ranking, I think it's fair that he's outside of or right around the top 10 area.
Me too.
Because you don't have enough of
sample
the
size.
tape. You don't. And even what you have from the bowl game is not against a completely stacked SEC type of roster. You just don't have that.
So this one, CBS Sports has him as 9.
Yeah.
So Quinn Ewers.
Carson Beck, right? Obviously, you have the experience. Quinn Ewers, experience. I mean, super talented, don't get me wrong, but experience
You've
as
seen
well.
it.
Jackson Dart, probably the most experienced of all of them,
Jesus.
maybe Brady Cook too. Milrow, right?
New
Brady
offense.
Cook, right? Experience. Now, the Nico guy, that's based off
They've
pure
been
talent.
raving about this
That's
kid.
based off pure talent.
Yeah,
That has
they've
no
been
experience.
literally raving about this kid.
Graham Mertz, have you seen it? Now, the Connor Wigman thing is a little weird to me. I mean, he looked good. He was very good when he was in there, but he didn't play for that long.
No, and I think that's going to be a scheme thing. Like, you have to see what Elko brings in at Texas A&M, because Jimbo had his scheme that he's been running since 2006.
Yeah.
And he was doing the same thing. It was very much. I think they're kind of in the same vein, so it's not going to be a big learning curve. But Wegman is as talented as probably as they.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, he was a huge
five
prospect.
He was like the
Star.
number one, like one of the number one quarterbacks.
And I
in
think
the
that's
country.
what it has to do over.
Yeah.
I think when you have guys that have that little tape, they fall back when we're writing these rankings. They fall back on, well, okay, who were you? Where were you when you were coming out too, as well? And it kind of gets placed into it. For me, I think where he is fair, and I think it's part of why people don't know how to put a finger on where LSU football will be this year. And it's weird to me too also that so many teams or so many people, analysts and or experts are sitting here saying like, oh no, they're out of the playoff talk. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, bro, you got 12 teams that can get in. Now, if you're just going to say they're out, to me, I read that as you telling me that they're a 4-loss team, 2 or more games out of being even in the conversation. And I just don't see that happening at all. I think
Right.
they're a team that is firmly in the conversation this year, especially with the expanded role. And when you bring back the offensive line you have, when you bring back the quarterback, OC, quarterback coach continuity that you have with Nussmeier and Joe, like, this is the type of team to me that post-October you see the better version of them. This is the type of team to me that if they're able to get through the October area with 1 or less or 2 or less losses, the back part of the year is where they get way better. And that's been a thing that's happened here at LSU for a while. Just unfortunately, once we used to got to November and you either go into Tuscaloosa or Tuscaloosa comes here, it's either make or break at that point. Because you were in the same division as them, they were probably going to have as many or less losses than you, and it usually either made your season or it broke your season. That's no longer a thing at this point. And you're still going to be playing them at the same time. So I think this year, because of these LSU teams in the past have gotten a lot better towards the back end of the season, this is a year where I think they are firmly in the conversation of making that team that field of 12 at the end of the year.
No doubt. I like the ranking because I think that he's already going to come in this season a lot to prove, and there's nothing's been given, like no hype has been given to him to where it's like, hey, team's ranked 15th preseason, he's ranked 9th. Like, he's got a lot to go out there and say, hey, watch this type thing. And I think Brian Kelly's seen it, right, throughout the course of practice in spring and the summer, and he's seen the development and the maturation of him as a quarterback. He said it with his analogy of the car and how, hey, I'm not driving somebody else's car now. He is driving his car. He takes a little bit more care of it. He doesn't need to go out there and make the big splash plays every play. I think he's starting to see that. And I think that makes me even more excited to watch him play because, he still has the ability to make every throw on the field, and he still probably has a little bit of that gunslinger in him when you need it. But 95% of the time, it's going to be a little bit of a controlled gunslinger, and know that he can fit the ball in when he needs to in emergencies.
So I'm glad you brought that point up because the outside conversation forever is a lot of people thought that Jaden Daniels was one game away from being off the field. That's what people thought. Like, this isn't his car. It's very obvious that Brian Kelly this year is now telling you that Nussmeier went about last year and understanding that, bro, this ain't your job. And you ain't going to have this job unless he literally severely underperforms. So that kind of, to me, that gives you a little more insight of how he went about and the things he did last year. And was there as much attention that needed to be paid to doing what he was doing? When he got the opportunity, was there as much care that he was taking care of what he needed to be taken care of? People change when you put the money down and you buy the car and it's now yours to own, to take care of. And I think you see a different version.
Yeah, and to add to that, I think this is his first time that he's ever been the, without a doubt, starter. Like, he's getting the reps as the number one quarterback. He was always fighting, scratching,
Nobody else is getting on reps.
No, he is. Yeah. It's him, and that's what I'm saying. That's where the interceptions cut down, and you don't have to prove anything.
Well, and it's him too, to the tune of, I'm still not proving it to. I don't have to go out there and prove it to coaches who don't believe in me. Remember, just by the decision that was made, it's pretty obvious that the decision is we value Garrett Nussmeier over Walker Howard. That was one. Mm-hmm. You bring back the same quarterback coach, and now he's your OC. He knows you. You've been in the room with him for the last 2 years, right? So it's like you have these people in place that you've been working with that already believe a ton in you. So now I'm going out there and I'm super comfortable knowing that they know me as a player, they know me as a person, and they're going to tailor and work to make sure this thing works for me. It's still a different working environment instead of feeling like I got to go prove to them that I'm the number one guy. They've been knowing that this day was coming.
Yeah.
As a group, not just him, not just one of them, not just the other one hoping that this one works. They've all been knowing it, and I think that's a good spot for him to be in.
Yep.
Yeah, like you said, like you make the car analogy, like he got the keys, and I think that's the first time he's been able to drive it 7 days a week, and I think you're going to see a version of him that you're not as worried about. Like, he hasn't been able to be in this. Like, when you look at the starts that he's had, Wisconsin is probably the one he's been the most prepared for, and before that, I would say maybe the Arkansas game in, what was it, 2021?
Yeah.
Where it's like you're the de facto starter. We'll put Max Johnson out there. You're coming in the second series.
Now, understand, I'm not sitting here saying that you're going to get the same output. That's not what I'm saying. But you have to imagine that when you take a guy like Jaden Daniels, who you plant him from a different school with a different new head coach, with a different offensive coordinator, in year one, the way he goes about and the way he does stuff is he feels like he needs to prove himself.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to play.
And I'm sure there is still I know, because that's how all athletes are wired. Like, you still feel the need to prove yourself, but there's a different level of comfortability. There's a certain thing of getting comfortable in the wrong way and getting comfortable in the right way. I think he was able to get comfortable in the right way in year 2, and that's why things took off the way they did. Now, obviously, you have 2 first-round receivers that helps as well, but that's why things took off the way they did. I think that's what Garrett already is because of the staff and the support that he's already surrounded with.
So when you have a quarterback, right, to be good, you have to have guys to throw to. I think he does have talented guys on the outside, receiver-wise. You have, Kyron Lacey's going to be he's the veteran guy. He's going to go out there. I think he's going to have a big year. We don't know yet, but I think that he's never had an issue of getting open. It's about, hey, are you going to be able to hold on the ball or not? And I think he's going to make those adjustments. My question is, you have 2 guys that are from Louisiana, both very similar styles of play. Both transferred into LSU. Aaron Anderson, who has been here for 2 years, transferred out of Alabama. This will be his second year here. And Xavier Thomas. Both of them are like spitting images of each other. Which one is the guy? They're both not going to play. I mean, they both may play, but it's the same player, basically.
I got to see some more footage from Xavier Thomas through the fall to really be able to answer that. I've always thought, and I said that a lot last year, I think Aaron Anderson is the type of guy that needs time in a system to be able to really take off and do what he does. So maybe year 2 is a much better version from what maybe you even remember from him at Edna Carr. Like you may get more of that. I haven't seen Xavier Thomas enough to be able to kind of give you that answer for me yet. But if he's able to grasp this playbook and take off with it, it could be 2 very explosive players for him this year.
And I think a lot was put on Aaron Anderson because of the special teams woes, like come in and be the punt returner, and then he fumbles the first punt, he's kicked, and
Not again.
Yeah, and Xavier Thomas is an all-SEC returner specialist,
Right.
So you'll see him back there, and I think that probably frees up a lot for Aaron Anderson to be like, I'm a receiver.
Yeah, no doubt.
But they're also loaded at that position. I know it's like a lot of kind of quote-unquote
Listen,
unproven.
the guy that
Kyle
the
Parker?
Guy, yeah, I'm super high on him. You're not hearing a lot about him. And I think I like that, right? Because there's always a receiver that pops out out of nowhere. Right now, Malik came in his junior year like being the guy.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but he's here as a freshman and sophomore, like he's good.
Right, like
but
Brian
there ain't no
Thomas,
room. Yeah.
Last year, Brian Thomas, has his breakout year. It was his first big year of his career.
First time you saw him.
Right? And so, every year someone's going to step up and, could it be Kyle Parker? I mean, you have a lot of talented guys. Chris Hilton.
I think he's
good.
the one that you circle most.
CJ Daniels, the guy you transferred.
CJ Daniels is the one I'm watching for a lot. He's played a lot of ball. Seemingly, he picks up a playbook really well. He's one that I'm like, all right, let's see how this plays here.
I think people are going to be like pleasantly surprised by that pickup
too.
because it's a smaller school, but when you see the numbers and how they run their offense and what he was able to do in it, that's just talent.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be in a great spot, and I would love to see Kyle Parker show out. But I mean, Shelton Sampson's somebody that you'd like to see too, a 5-star that has everything.
I'll say this too.
Very deep in there.
Yeah,
I'll say this too. When you say it's just talent, I think talent's obviously got a lot to do with it. But as much as they ran the football for as little opportunities as he has, that means when he had these opportunities, you didn't only have to be talented, but you had to rise to the occasion. You also had to know how to read defenses and know what they were doing and find these open spots and make these plays. Stuff like that kind of translate over to getting into a new offense and being able to pick it up quick and go from there. So that's why I think he's got a chance to be a lot better than what people think.
Yeah, because in that offense, they obviously were focused on the run game if you're the defensive coordinator, but then you're circling one other player going, this is the guy that can beat you. And it'll happen at some point, but they're going to him if they need to play.
Well, yeah, and like it reminds me the moxie and or the ability to be able to kind of put these things together when you're getting so few chances. Like he's not out there with a whole bunch of opportunities. So I've seen this coverage. I've ran against this coverage so much,
and I'm getting 10 targets. No, he's doing it with very little opportunity just because of how they run the ball. So for you to kind of understand what a defense is doing, to be able to find voids, to be able to physically get open as well and complete the play, to me, that type of player is the type of player that when I stick him in a new offense a year later, you can kind of hit the ground running and kind of go. I agree.
Yep. I agree too.
And also don't sleep on John Emery's back. 44.
Also, don't sleep on there's one other guy that's got he's right there on the cusp of will he get 1,000 yards or not, and so
I'm looking at him right now.
He went to FC Media Day for a
Look at
reason.
him right now. Well, here's the other thing. You have two other tight ends that are like.
They do,
Mac
man.
Markway obviously came in there as a, but you have Treydas Green, who's
Hey,
a freak show, and then you got
Pimpton.
Kamorian Pimpton, who's
I
also
can't.
same similar.
I
type of
would. I
style.
gotta imagine their red zone package and how hard they're
Oh.
going to be to
Yeah.
scheme up this year will be a bitch for defensive coaches.
No
That's
doubt.
not, bro. You got a basketball player. You got a dude. You got Jason Taylor's son out here. You got all these dudes running this way. They're fast. They got
tall.
backs, bro.
And you got
And
and
they
you got those
big.
guys, and you got Xavier Thomas and Aaron Anderson underneath that can
That's
like
what I'm
hey,
saying.
go underneath, and now you got
That's
scurry
what
into the end.
they can run these, bro. They got so much that they can do when they get in red zone situations. They're gonna be a nightmare to try to scheme for in
And
those
then you
situations.
got the best offensive line in the country and Caleb Jackson.
Yep.
Or Harold Perkins if you want to do that
Yep.
again.
I think, and honestly, like last year you had 8 running backs. This year you only have 4. I think that's a good number, right? Like you hopefully injuries aren't a thing, right? But you have 4 running backs that you probably feel pretty confident putting all of them in there.
John Emery.
Caden Durham's a freshman. I mean, John Emery's experienced, if he's healthy, yeah. But like Josh Williams is your guy, and you got Caden Durham, who I think they're gonna try to get in there.
I think
Oh,
so, too.
absolutely.
He's an
Yeah, I think so,
absolute
too.
freak show. I think
Yeah.
Caleb Jackson's a freak show.
Yeah.
I think Caleb Jackson's.
I want to
to
see where he is this year.
I think he's gonna be your bell cow.
Yeah, he got it. He got to get the rock early.
It'll be Josh Williams early, and I think a lot of that decision making is having Garrett Nussmeier as your first time legitimate starter and having that pass pro where you don't have
That's
to worry
the difference,
about
right?
Yeah.
Because Josh Williams does everything other
a
than
pro.
It's not just about running.
Well, that's what
running
we.
the
But
route.
that's what we know today, and why I said
Oh,
I
it'll
got to
get-
see where he
it'll
is this
change
year.
through the year.
No. I got to see where he is this year because we don't know. That's what we don't know yet today.
Has he
we haven't gotten to see
adjusted? Yeah.
how far along has Caleb Jackson come on that in year 2 so far?
Right.
Like maybe he has hit the ground. I'm not saying that Josh Williams isn't going to play and not be a big part. I think he is. But we all saw the physical talent, specimen, and ability that Caleb Jackson has with the ball. If he can pick up this offense and get some pass pro in there as well, good God. It's hard to keep that off the field.
He ran over a man and stood
It's-
over him during the
It's hard.
game.
He didn't stop. It was the
He
same
just
speed
stopped
after you.
looking to look at him.
Yeah, bro. Like that
It's
stuff right there,
different.
that's special. That's just different, dog. Like, and if you could add the ability to get into the offense and do some pass press, yeah.
Stupid.
And we don't know where that is today. So
Cade
that's
Durham's the fastest man out of Texas.
And it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I can't wait. That was
telling
good.
you,
That
and
was a
that,
nice
they
little
are.
spurt of
I'm
football
not saying
talk.
this because I'm an LSU fan, dude. I'm literally saying this. It's hard for me to not see them being in the top 12 at the end of the year. It really, really, truly is.
I think a lot of it comes down to also LSU's first game, kind of flops where it's easy to, we'll put them 8, 9, 10 in the SEC because if they lose the first game, then you're running out of room for
You lose it
error.
against Texas 19. You're like, oh,
That changes both seasons.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Texas they took that one personally. That was tough.
yeah. So
Never bounced back.
that's a nice little football spurt.
We can do that.
We're
We
here
can
for
do
it.
that. We're about to have a lot more spurts.
Football show.
Yep.
When it gets a little too
spurting.
hot outside, and when you keep getting the 100+ index or feels like, that's when we are a football show. In case y'all didn't know, this is a football show. I want you to know. We're gonna give you debate, but this is a football show.
At some point, this is the most baseball without having a national championship Omaha run where baseball is bled into.
Yeah.
Oh God, thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. Which has been good. We've weathered the storm. We're getting through it.
It's all
All
good
right.
news.
You got I think you got a good curtain call. I mean, you got a good
Mistake of the day.
Mistake of the day.
I can't play it because Major League Baseball.
Yep.
But
Mistake of the day is brought to you by our friends at Dozy Place.
They're lucky that this one's hidden under their.
This is what the copyright's for. But what isn't copyrighted is the tweet, where I want your opinion. Obviously, I think a lot of people saw the Major League Baseball. There was a home run derby whenever the anthem took a turn. And it started bad and got worse and never got better, and then it became in the pantheon of Fergie, which exists in a league of its own. But then this one happened, and you're like, oh my God. And to save face, obviously mistake of the day, but a small curtain call to the PR team to go, dude, what can we say? Because I've never heard her sing, and I think a lot of people were introduced to Miss Ingrid that night and didn't go great. So I'm not going to bullshit y'all.
She was drunk.
I was drunk last night. I'm checking myself into a facility today to get the help I need. That was not me last night. I apologize to MLB, all the fans in this country I love so much for the rendition. I'll let y'all know how rehab is. It sounds like she's still drunk on this tweet.
I hear it's super fun.
I don't think that it is. but also never have been. But I don't think you go there with
Yeah, that was tough.
the intention to have fun.
What is your question on the mistake? Is the mistake of the day the performance? Is it the response to the
All.
performance? All of the above?
I feel like
MLB's decision to pick her?
yeah, does also feel like it was out of left field, but I feel like you get a little bit better if you're drunk singing. Like that's not a talent that you lose.
Well, alcohol doesn't help your voice. Like it makes it raspier, right? They say like it's not good to drink and sing. It just you lose.
Yeah, but
your
like
voice.
people, but confidence-wise, I would imagine like if you can already sing
I don't
and you've been
think
drinking,
confidence
like,
was a thing though.
but then what was she nervous about?
Huh?
What were you nervous about?
She said she was nervous.
I don't know why else you'd
So-
be slammed. I mean, everybody's.
Maybe she's an alcoholic.
No,
No?
I don't think you would talk about rehab like this if you were an alcoholic.
Yeah,
Like, you'd be
that's-
nervous.
That's where it got weird for me is the way she ended that
Yeah.
that story post, I guess, with the
It would be super fun.
very not so endearing part of it anymore, where it was like you kind of was like making a joke or making light about the situation. So it almost seems like you didn't understand what you did
Rehab
and-
is?
or how bad that look of what you just did was. So that was the kind of weird part about it. But make no mistake about it, the actual performance was
Ass.
not good, man. And it was kind of embarrassing to see that go on. And I never heard the girl's name before, so I don't, she's obviously a big artist, but like being in those situations, like for that to be people's first impression of you is probably not something you want out there. So it was weird for me that that was going to be how she apologized about making light about it a little bit, where it's not really that light of a situation.
And I'm not saying she's lying,
Yeah, I'm not saying she's lying. I don't really.
but to your point, PR point, she set herself up for a pretty good comeback story. Hey, I had an alcohol issue, which she could very well be in.
I don't
say
know.
anything. Don't know. But she does go. She gets better. Then she goes out and she has her redemption. Hell, she sound better. See, this is kind of what happened.
The long con.
That type of thing. Who knows? It's a way out. Of the
It
PR
was
side.
entertaining for sure. She went
And then
viral.
Cody Johnson was the next day, right? Did he sing it for the All-Star
Yeah,
game?
that's a name. I don't know who it is, but yeah,
he's a
that's
country. He's good. He did good.
Oh yeah, it's Texas.
It can lead us right into the curtain calls. then.
Yep, which is leads us into the curtain calls, which is brought to you by our friends at Assured Partners.
Man.
Me.
I'll
We got
lead it
one.
off because
Okay,
we
you
already
go.
started there. Hey, we do a lot of talking about Major League Baseball and how well they're not doing on some of this marketing stuff. Hey, the All-Star game. Give it up. Loved it. Beautiful All-Star game. I think it's very easy to say that because of the nature of baseball and how you play it. Get warm and there's so much one-on-one stuff where it is by far the most competitive All-Star game that there is across all
Absolutely.
sports. And it's a very good version of baseball we got to see, and it was cool to see.
And that you kind of took that. I'm gonna let you end the show on your curtain call because that's mine too. To Major League Baseball, for as much as we talk about, we love it. As much as we talk about them not getting out there
Tough
way.
love.
Exactly right because we want them to go and succeed and be the sport that
It's supposed to
they
be.
used to be.
Yeah.
Right, the popularity that used to be. It is the best All-Star game of any of the sports.
Yeah.
Because it's the most competitive. This one was no exception. Duran, who's the center fielder for the Boston Red Sox. I believe he is in his second year. I don't believe he's still considered a rookie. Hits the game-winning 2-run home run in the 8th inning, making it 5-3. He wins the MVP. It was a great game. You saw Skeens go out there for the first inning, face Judge.
You saw a kid from Oakland throwing 104.
104. You see Ohtani, the star, hits a 3-run home run.
Yeah.
The American League comes back. Then you get the big home run and take the lead. Like, a lot of entertaining things happen with good play. It wasn't like, the score is going to be 22-18, and you have home runs hit every. I think that's
Position
the
players
beauty of baseball.
pitching. Yeah, it was.
Right? It's hard to you got to play it.
Yeah,
because
when
the
you
guys
get up, it's just played.
You
Like
gotta
it's
play.
1-on-1, you just play.
There's no I'm just going to hit a homer. It's hard to hit a homer.
And
right?
it's not, and that's also as a pitcher. Like when you get up there, I go through my warm up and I get myself up there. If I usually sit 95, 96, I'm probably not gonna sit 89 that day. It's just not gonna be a thing.
Yeah, right.
It's not gonna be a thing.
There's a pride to it.
To
right?
do what I got to do to be able to throw 89 and come out of that healthy means I can get to my normal 95, 96 and get out of it healthy. Like you're not gonna do those things and dial it down like that. That's not what it is.
So shout out to Major League Baseball. That was
Yeah.
much needed. Hopefully they can continue that momentum in the second half. If Paul Skeens keeps doing what Paul Skeens is doing, that's going to help Major League Baseball immensely.
Yeah.
So that's my current call.
Look out! Hey, look out before you go. Look out to see if Pittsburgh's a buyer at the break too. I think they're like 6-ish games under 5, but like these next 2 weeks, they put together a decent winning streak, and you got somebody like Paul Skeens and all the young talent they got. They may be buyers.
Now, what have we been saying?
If they're buyers, then what have you been saying for so long?
There's a chance he can win the Cy Young.
There it is.
Right? And now Jeff Passan's coming out and saying it. And look, I get it.
It's real.
It's a real thing. Now the concern, if they are in the postseason contention, right? And they say, okay, we're gonna make it. Now they got what is his innings gonna be? Are they gonna try to keep him fresh for the postseason?
Right.
Are they not? Now I don't know. Is he gonna be so far ahead in the race and have enough innings so where it doesn't matter? Who knows? But if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's squarely in that Cy Young race, and I think that's gonna be great for baseball.
Yep.
What you got, Lloyd?
Oh. Shifting it back to the OG, Tiger Woods. Oh, hold on, Tiger. Obviously, he is playing in the British Open, where there's been some consternation around Tiger Woods. Is this a sideshow? The man has said since his inception into golf, I won't play and I won't tee it up unless I think I can win. And that's who he is, and he carries that persona. But it's also nice to see him flex this a little bit of muscle of, don't forget the fucking trophy case I got,
playing
buddy.
with my name.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm still Tiger Woods. If I got to do it, I'll do it.
Right.
I don't want to show up and play 36 holes and leave. I can do that.
Right.
And for him to be called out by Colin Montgomery, a Euro, to say that it's
Isn't
a
it crazy,
sideshow, and Tiger answers this as a historian of golf and somebody who knows it perfectly.
You've given so much to this game, you've given so much to this championship. But there was comments, last week from Colin Montgomery who said, why is he here? He should retire. There's no point to this. Do you feel that's a bit hurtful and you've earned the right to you make the decision when you decide?
Well, as a past champion, I'm exempt till I'm 60. Colin's not. He's not a past champion, so he's not exempt. So he doesn't get the opportunity to make that decision. I do.
Dude. And he never loses eye
So when I get
contact.
to be at his age,
The
I
whole
still make that
time.
decision.
Hey, bro.
No, he doesn't.
Love that.
Next question here, number 1.
With this little
Tiger
grin,
just almost.
never loses eye contact. Says it right through this guy's soul.
Do you know who the fuck I am? Like, Tiger Woods is one of the most feared athletes on the planet when it comes to mano-a-mano. You really want to go there with me?
Like, why even
Like, you
bring
can't ask that
up?
question,
Like,
bro. It was a stretch of time where if it got to Sunday and this man had red on, bro, you probably didn't have a chance. And it was known. It was known. Like, grown men knew I'm not winning today.
Fucked.
I don't care if I'm 1 stroke down, 2 strokes up. I'm not winning today. So to say something like that to a man who is teeing it up, who's had that kind of a career, is crazy. Nobody was saying, hey, man, Jordan's a sideshow even though he's with the Wizards, man. Like, why is he out here? Like, nah, bro, that's the GOAT, dog.
I earned this.
That's the GOAT, dog. That man can play until he says, I don't want to play no more.
I don't know how to put all these
Yeah, that's
skins
crazy.
on the wall.
That's
but
crazy.
Y'all
bro.
can look
That's
at them.
crazy. It's crazy.
I actually can't even fit them all on one wall.
Yeah.
In a couple walls. In a room, actually, for this. Yeah, that's a good one.
Love that,
Tiger.
man. Betting on it.
Respect.
Much.
That's all we got for you today on this beautiful Wednesday. We haven't gone over in a long time.
I think we went over on Monday.
Did we? Mm-hmm. Oh, look at that. 2 days in a row. We'll be back live in studio from 1 to 2-ish. We'll probably go over again on Friday.
Booked.
We get a nice little guest for you.
Yeah, I got a guest for you. A lot of stories that we're going to be talking
It
about.
is. This summer is heating up.
Yeah, so
He
he's
knows a
gonna tell
lot
us,
about it.
Yes, he does.
kind of what goes on in this type of part of the year, right? With football looming, his job is was to make sure everybody was outfitted with
Properly.
whatever they needed. So we're looking forward to that. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. If you haven't watched Hard Knocks, I suggest you go and do it. We'll be back live on Friday. We appreciate you. We love you. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you don't like watching us, you can't watch us. You like listening to us or anywhere you get your pods. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Peace.